Live in a few minutes. We've got Travis here. Travis, do you mind saying a few words just to do a bit of sound check?
How's it, Felix and people watching? Travis here from South Africa.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah. Okay, that sounds good. That sounds good. We'll give you a proper intro when we get the video properly going.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Another 3 or 4 minutes. Alright, hello everybody. Hey Luke in the chat. Good to see Florian's here, Sergeant Sarge is back. Let's get this stream going. Hello, hi everybody, welcome to the stream. We've got Film Session Friday, is the name we've adopted now. Let's get this camera pointing down a little bit. So I'm Felix from Felix Ultimate. I'm joined today by Travis Myburgh.
Yeah, how's it?
How's it, Travis?
How's it going?
Do you mind giving yourself a little introduction for the viewers that maybe haven't heard of you?
I don't think anyone's really heard of me. I'm Travis. I'm from South Africa. I have been playing Ultimate for about 7 years now. Started in university, then made 2016 men's team for WUGC. Played also for. Went to WUCC in 2018, and then I was coaching Mambas, the men's team, for 2020 before that didn't happen. So yeah, that's pretty much my brief Ultimate history.
Awesome.
Like the hex and flex styles, really.
Yeah, you're part of the Hive. Big up the Hive, as always.
Yep.
It's great to have you on the stream. I like having people from all around the world joining us.
It's quite fun. I think the Hive itself is pretty cool because it connects people from around the world. Like, I mean, I said there's lots of people in Europe, some people in the US. I only really speak to people that I've met before, but it's nice to meet, and on Reddit, I guess. But this is more sort of personal communication.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just doing some little technical tweaks as some of the more eagle-eyed viewers will probably notice. And now let's go into the game. We've got Canada versus Japan. Are you looking forward to this one? Yeah.
Even though I was at this tournament, I didn't watch this game. As you can see, there's no one in the stand. But yeah, so I'm intrigued to see what we got in store for us. Good teams, obviously. Didn't play them. Closest I got to Canada was in 2018, playing General Strike, and the closest I got to Japan was Heat Haze in 2018, the club teams. So yeah, I've watched the videos, but don't know much about the specific game.
Well, this is, I mean, when you hear Japan versus Canada, you think
I think 2012.
Yeah, exactly. So, this is how many years after that? This would be
4 years, yeah.
4 years later. I think
what I heard is everyone was hyping it up, and then it ended up being a very clean game. Everyone was hyper aware.
Right. Well, I've skipped through the footage to as I was preparing it, and I wouldn't say that it is 100% clean. So,
okay.
So we should just have to be the judge of that ourselves, I guess.
I see Joe Mama asks, what is this Team Japan Buzz Bullets? I think it pretty much is. They weren't banned at this stage. I don't know the Buzz Bullets. Obviously, Matsuno was playing, but I would think it's pretty much that. Yeah,
this question was asked previous actually when we were streaming Japan. I think it's almost all Buzz Bullets, but I would not be surprised if there was like 2 or 3 or 4, maybe from Nomadic Tribe or another team.
Yeah.
So we got like 1 hour of condensed footage. So it's, and I don't want to be like rushing through it to get it done in one stream. I don't want to rush through it to try and get the stream done in like 2.5 hours or whatever. I think we just give the amount of time to the game that the game needs. And
I think that's perfect. We don't want to going on forever, and we don't want to, rush through it and not really get anything done.
Yeah, exactly. So
also, how's it to Yanku? Putting in some Afrikaans in the chat. Basically, to translate that, he basically says, "I know nothing." He was in the Mambas team, so he's pretty. He knows what he's talking about. I know absolutely nothing.
Does studio mean Nauru? Well, it's funny you say studio. appreciate that you've noticed what I've got on the walls. I've got some soundproofing, but there is Rue. She's just on the window. She's just on the windowsill at the moment, so Rue will make an appearance. Okay, there's a pick that happens here, I believe. Yeah, so there's a pick that happens at the front of the end zone here.
Okay.
This is immediately a classic Beatles Ultimate stream is to go straight into pick analysis.
Yeah.
So you see at the beginning at the front, who's that? Number 11. I just quickly check the rosters again so I get this right. Number 11. Okay, mystery person. not on the Canadian roster. It's like a policeman not wearing their badge or something.
That's interesting.
Or unless it's 71. Anyway, yeah, I think it is 71 actually. So we got. Okay, no, it's not 71. Okay, enough of trying to find out this guy. It's probably. Is it Jeff? Jeff Hurst? Anyway, so the pick here, the disc goes down to Korono, who cuts under, right? And then his mark here poaches off quite significantly as this cut comes to the front corner. So then the mark is then going over to the area to then stifle it. And then it's this defender here, I think Ramiojo, who then calls the pick because he's got a player in his way when he wants to try and stick with the mark.
Yeah, I guess it's a pick. I hate picks, but I guess it is.
Yeah, it's technically a pick. But if you look at it from this player's point of view, playing defense, then it's almost like, okay, there's a threat at the front corner. So do you go over and mark the threat? Do you go over and cover the space? You don't even need to, really. You just need to get into that kind of area because then your teammate can choose that he wants to run through you and stop the game. It doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. That's sort of my opinion is, yeah, you could play better defense, have a more flowing game. It just feels, it's always weighted in the offense's favor. We know that. But sometimes frustratingly so.
Yeah. It's like he can choose. He can choose, right? I'm going to go over here and box out my defender, and that defender, because it's not considered to be like team defense by the rules, and that defender just like, yep, they're allowed to take a straight line towards the offensive player they're guarding, and if someone's in the way, then it's a pick, even though it's entirely the decision of the defense to be there.
Well, I guess then it's up to the offense. Oh, sorry, this is a defense. Why did I say offense? Yeah, this is an offensive decision. I guess you have to be aware of it. That this can happen.
Yeah, it seems like this player here that is on offense running, it's like he's just not allowed. He's not allowed to run around the poaching defender because of the other defender. Like that's a breaking of the rules. Picks, it's very silly. In the chat, let's get an opinion. If you think that this, what do we even ask? It's like there's two questions, isn't there? Is it a legit pick? Should it have been called? So if you think it's a legit pick, then put 1 in the chat. If you think that it's not a pick, put 2. And if you think that it's silly, put 3. Let's see what the chat say. Yeah, the famous pick rant, Florian. That's right. I've begun. Can't eliminate it. Potential very dangerous situations, but that there is an argument for dangerous situations. Okay, whilst you're just voting, I'll give you a little bit of
I think the way to just approach it is it's a pick. Just keep playing. It happens.
Okay, a bit of Rue for now. She likes coffee and she likes chocolate as well. So, and she likes sitting on my laptop. She's in heaven right now. Okay, so what was the voting? 1 was a legit pick. 2 was that it shouldn't have been called not a pick, and 3 was that picks are silly. And what votes have we got?
Sergeant Sarge says. Oh, sorry. My bad. I think my internet's struggling. I'm not getting audio well. But Sergeant Sarge says it is a pick, however, it was caused by a white defender could an argument be made that the white defender who is poaching is actually picking up the Japanese player? Well, it doesn't seem to be. And the pick calls directly to do with the person who's considered to be guarding the Japanese player. So yeah, by the rule, it's a pick.
Yeah.
And yeah, my opinion is play on. Who cares?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean they could potentially score if that's not called.
Yeah, no, of course, but it's going to be called.
Yeah. So I would agree with I think we've got Asperov and Moni and stuff, and Joe Malmsteen in the chat as well. I'd agree that it is a pick, but the fact that that is a legitimate pick, I think it's got to get people just looking at the rule a bit closer and being like, what is this rule about if this is legit?
Oh no, I think it's contentious in the sense that picks can happen in Ultimate that are sort of legit in the way that it stops the person defending and everything's weighted in the offense's favor. So one defensive sort of allowance is a good thing.
Yeah, it just seems a bit artificial though.
I agree. Because, I mean, if you look at the clip again, you could see how much of a legitimate shot does he have of defending that space. He's not in the best position, and that's a quick cut. We can't say anything for sure, but he most likely could have scored that without the person being there, in my opinion. Like, by the time he makes his cut, he's got space on the outside. I won't say scored, but he's open without the pick happening.
Right, yeah, okay.
Maybe.
Yeah. But I think if the defender was trying to stop the score, then they would have gone to the corner. Like, it's almost like they settled for the pick. I don't know. I'm not going to rewind it. We spent a long time on that. Nice bit of flow down the far sideline from Japan there.
Yeah, let's...
So see how far back they've worked the disc before then flowing it up the side. Let's just see how the flow is initiated. So Korono is absolutely brilliant. He passes, hits across, yeah, and these are like the small spaces that some players, when they imagine offense, they don't imagine that these are like possible to throw to. But it's just a small space. It's just a quick move and just a neat little throw, a little bit of air bounce on it, almost from Tanaka. And then you see the timing of the next cut coming from over here. And he's got separation. And I think this is just a sign of a defeated defender, to be honest. And I think that happens when you move the disc away from the end zone and back towards. So it's actually this player here gets free. So instead of Tanaka taking the less penetrating throw around the edge, he penetrates through the middle, and that immediately sets this player up then to attack. And he doesn't even need to get the next pass, he can just get the one after. It's very difficult to stop, isn't it? When this player cuts here, yeah, at this moment...
Sorry, my stream's off again.
Okay, just try and kick your internet router or something. But when he starts making his cut here, there's no way this defender can expect that he's going to go at full speed and then receive like a 4-yard pass for the score. You know, like it's like that's the end consequence. He goes at full speed and gets that 4-yard pass for the score. But when he makes this move here, like, not expecting that at all. But they just take those quick short passes.
Yes, sir.
Let's just have a look at it. There's been a lot of chat in the chat, so I don't want to neglect it.
Yeah.
Talking about picks and travels.
Korono marked by Powell all the way back to Matsuno. Really pushing the Japanese offense back, and that's the reason.
I love that they don't care about going backwards as far. Like, that's what I like about the Japanese team.
Yeah, that's what I was going to point out actually, is that they're right on the end zone. You know, when this pick happens here, they're right on the end zone, and then okay, we're not scoring, and I think it's Matsuno that gets the dump pass way back, going to Matsuno behind the brick mark, and then back again to like halfway. They're literally at halfway now in 2 passes, and so as a defender, yeah, Romeo I think was the one that I said might have been disheartened by the end. As a defender, you force them back, And then for them to just be super comfortable and not panicky, and then just work it back up and in. You know, it's like relentless, isn't it? Like he passes it off the line here, and then he's in the end zone.
It's yeah. That's it. They're able to generate that flow via moving it backwards and moving it around the field. I mean, that pretty much hit every corner of their half, except maybe the front right cone, to get it from just going in the same place. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Right. Florian says, Felix, their flow is also possible because they're not in fear of bothering a strong in out. Oh, a strong in cut. Sorry. So their flow is also possible because they're not in fear of bothering a strong in cut. These semi-horizontal cuts are fully possible and quite strong. Yeah, and yeah, so these little moves here, like what Korono does here, I think Florian's talking about. They're not bothered about doing that strong in cut. Okay, should we go on to the next point?
But they still keep good spacing. I mean, I think you're taught about slash cuts that are terrible on record. It's an offense, and I guess that's a vert stack based offense. But if you rely on good spacing, you can make those small things, those small type of cuts.
And if the disposition changes a lot, then the angles change drastically for slash cuts. Going back to picks quickly, I like what Benjamin Lindmer said about the dangerous play rule having to be made very clear. So there are other sports, right? There are other sports that have been dealing with this, and you have things like in basketball, no moving screens, right? So you're not allowed to, if you're blocking someone, like creating a pick, you're not allowed to be moving. So which basically means you need to get into the space and you need to stop, and they have to be able to avoid you. Yeah, that's like included in the rule as well. So there's a few different sports that have slightly different rules on making picks something that's part of the game but not dangerous. You can always argue, a lot of people feel that Ultimate is different, Ultimate special in certain ways, but I think we gave too much credence to just the way that we know the game and the way we currently play the game, rather than actually like how it could be played. Look,
it's interesting.
Rue's kind of like lay down on my mouse here, so it's actually really difficult. Hang on, there we go. She's laying on my mouse.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, she likes kind of like knowing that I'm there, I think. So when I'm having to do this, then she's like, oh yeah, I'm Felix. Yeah,
But just on that last play, that one that Canada just scored, you don't have to go back to it, but I mean, I thought Japan were pretty well set there. If I'm on defense for Japan, I'm like, they had pretty good shot at defending that. Good grab, rode a bit of contact on his road contact, but you can't do anything there on their last point. So Japan, I think, are happy with that.
Yeah. I think if they have to do that every single point, then Japan are going to win. If they have a huck that is that closely contested, then it doesn't play in their favor in the long game. I shouldn't have used the word long game there when I'm talking about hucks, and I didn't mean it in terms of a long throw. I meant in terms of like the whole game kind of strategy. Epic pull right to the back, Tanaka fielding it to Kichikawa. Interesting seeing this this 11 player just on the front sideline here, the near sideline. He's so ready. It's very spread, isn't it? It's almost hex-like.
I love this.
Was that a inward pivot? Have to go back and have a look after this point. Yeah, true what Mama Steen says about basketball. I mean, it's a much smaller court as well, so people never really get up to full speed. But then on offense, you wouldn't be getting up to full speed going near somebody because that's when the defense can switch. Okay, let's have a look at this. Yeah, it's Matsuno, right? Yeah, classic. So yeah, he catches it going towards the sideline, and most players in conventional ultimate would bend around to the left. And Matsuno might even do it on the other side, in fact, but on this side, he like much prefers like coming over for his flick. So as he catches it here, a lot of players would bend around that way very slightly and then look down the sideline.
Yeah.
Like look to this space. Whereas what you'll see is Matsuno very slightly turning the other way and then looking like across, right? Which includes a bigger part of the field.
Yeah, it's something I only started noticing when you sort of pointed it out in your videos about the inward pivot. I never really thought about it, and yeah, it really helps open up spaces of the field that defenders normally think is taken by the mark. Like this throw afterwards is just ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, if you're the deep defender, you're like, I did my best there. I was according to strategy. He might have got a step on me deep, but that throw shouldn't come, and it does. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and look at Korono here. He sees Matsuno getting the disc, and he knows.
Yeah.
Like, and he's got like a yard separation. He doesn't have any separation, and he just puts his hand up. yeah, chuck it deep. It's cool. I'll get it.
And you throw it like that. I mean, that's half a meter separation there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's a fantastic throw, but it's the speed that he gets his balance, right?
Yeah.
That means that he can do whatever he wants with the disc. And in this crucial moment right here where he's got his balance and he's ready, this defender is thinking he's going to bend and go down the line. So the defender's completely out of position. And all these other defenders are thinking, right, he's going to look down the line, yeah, because that's what where they're used to people looking. But instead he gets his balance and then just can rip it anywhere on the field.
Classic. That's what I'm wondering. I mean, Japan are known for these type of throws. And do they look for them all the time so much so that it becomes something that you look to stop? Or do they just do it 60% of the time such that you get lulled into stopping the conventional type throw?
Yeah, well, with Matsuno on this side, he does it so much, I think it'd be worth trying to stop. But the thing is, once you stopped it, it's easy for them to throw down the line, which is the more direct route to the end zone.
Yeah.
And
no, of course.
There are games, like versus Ironside where I've seen where he'll catch it and then he'll look infield and they'll stop it and then he'll just throw someone that's cutting down the line, like very, very quickly as well. Not really much delay going around one way or the other.
That's true. I mean, yeah, but it is Matsuno. That's a good point.
Matsuno, he's a different level.
How old is he? When's he retiring? I don't want to play him.
I think he's like 38. If anyone in the chat can confirm how old Matsuno is. I think maybe 38, 39. I know Kichikawa in this game is maybe 38, so might be 41, 42 now. This is Korono, right? Korono is understated. Well, by me just now, because I was like, Matsuno's a different level, but Korono is fantastic. Like, look at this gap here. He releases this pass with those two defenders like that. Goes Kawasaki runs, and look how accurate it is. He just he just has to turn his body to the side and clap, and then it's like, yep, no, you just got a perfect, like completely deadly position. He's penetrated past these two defenders, and then just takes the right timing. Anatoly is still watching the play here and takes his eye of Arakawa for a second. And Matsuno would have it as well because he's being face marked over here.
Interesting cutting from the middle of the stack. If Canadian defender just thought that he wasn't going to make a cut because he's in the middle of the stack. But it looks pretty simple when you see it.
Maybe, but you see,
there.
all of the Japanese players at this moment are like, right, I'm gonna get ready to cut. Yeah, you see all of them like duck down and get
Yeah.
off this power stance, and you know they go away.
I think they're very intuitive, the players.
Yeah, intuitive. Yeah, I'd say like organic potentially. You know,
Yeah, organic, nice.
like instead of abiding by pattern or like always cut from the back, always do this or cut in this direction at this time. It's just like, right, okay, there's a moment here where we've got power, so then they get ready to like do something, and then they see, right, he's moving, okay, and then Matsuno sees that and he cuts to adjust for that. I think if Arakawa hadn't gone, I wonder what Matsuno would have done. You see Matsuno gets ready as well, and then like potentially he would have faded and maybe gone for the hammer, who knows. It's interesting to see just when you're able to get it frame by frame how they all get ready at the same time. Right, Florian's got to go. If you missed the stream on Wednesday, check it out. We've got Florian on the stream. Again, it was the USA Canada semi-final. We'll see you next week, Florian. Okay, and on to the next point. Floyd says that he thinks Matsuno's 636.
Oh, 36 now. Okay, my bad. It's still too young.
Canada working through it easily. Handled it well so far up the line to Galitz. And here's Cameron Harris. A very dynamic thrower from the Toronto area.
I like that defense.
I'll have to go back and have a look at it. What did you see?
No, it was just on the mark. He just decides to jump and stop the hammer. That's his primary goal, is to jump as high as possible.
Ooh. Let's have a quick look at that. Jumping.
That was pretty...
It's a good time.
Pretty... Yeah, watch it.
It's funny that he jumped before the guy faked it as well.
Yeah. You must have seen him looking.
Yeah. I mean, it's exactly the right position for it, right? You catch a disc going up the line here, then you look for the crossfield hammer. This guy's, I think he's even maybe pointing for it.
But also the way he turns with this inward pivot thing, like he seems to literally spend half a second turning. He turns toward the sideline and then looks for a hammer across field. Like in inward pivot, he would have saved a second, might have been able to get that off.
Yeah, and it's almost like he could like bend round at this point as he's catching the disc. He could actually bend his cut inwards. I mean, like just before he gets it, not after he gets it, obviously. Yeah. And then he sees this, But as you say, instead of that, he turns out, and so then for ages he's just got like this. And then I think the turnover was just an execution error on the catch.
Yeah, and it's weird because the defense didn't look particularly tight, particularly aggressive. I mean, this I think it's here, this pass. Yeah, no reason. I think Canada getting in their own heads about moving it quickly against the Japanese.
Right.
They didn't seem that aggressive. No need to make that throw that precise.
With a little discussion on the force now. Marcus says that Morgan Hibbert slightly over pursues on the mark. Matsuno just shifts his body weight and has a lightning quick release. It's true.
Although they probably haven't faced a team with the size and the height of Canada, and yet they're going to test
it didn't look good, that one.
And Lindquist up to...
It's just that. So it didn't feel as comfortable as usual, this offense, for some reason.
Yeah.
They weren't generating much flow somehow. And then he just decides, who's that number 3? I'm not sure. He just decides, and he almost like hesitates a bit.
Yeah.
And then it's just not hard enough, really. Quite a lot of separation there. So if you can make the throw to the end zone, to the back of the end zone, then it's not bad.
But I think he needs to make it to like the back near corner, not up in the middle and blading across. I think it must have just been execution.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, depending on whether you can execute that throw in the better times. I'm getting a bit of echo on the thing, so maybe you can.
I've muted. I don't know what's up. But yeah, let me know. Maybe I've only got one mic. Just let me know if it's fixed or not.
Okay. I can still hear it a little bit, but it doesn't sound too bad. I'll let you know again if it's problem. Maybe even just turning the volume down a little bit would help. So this is.
I have no idea how to do that.
Nice throw. Nice. Oh, what happened to? Oh right, yeah, okay. Joe Marmstein thinks this throw should have gone to the far side. Yeah, why not? Why not? I mean, really anywhere, because he's pretty much on the brick mark and the guy's pretty much directly behind, so it just needs to go further. I think that's why I said back of end zone. Sounds like you stormed out of the room. Guess he has. Maybe he's thrown his computer in the bin because of the echo. He needed to throw it away earlier. What do you mean throw it away earlier?
I have this one.
Oh, he needed to throw it way earlier. Yeah, so he hesitated a bit on the throw. You're right, Luke.
So I just went and got some earphones, so hopefully this will work once I've connected them.
Yeah, cool. We heard your door going.
Sorry about that. They're Bluetooth, so they might take a while to set up, but let's see what happens.
Nice D here from Canada on another deep shot from Japan. Canada have done a couple of good deep shots. It's really good D. Like you can see Matsuno is coming in and he's going to go for like this epic grab. You know, he almost takes off here. He takes that one jump step, but Canadian players are already committed to this space here, and it would have to be like a complete epic jump from Matsuno, and then he just gets enough on that. So it's really good read and athleticism from the Canadian player there. But this guy claims the D. Joe Malmsteen points out the last two D possessions, Canada are doing a good job of forcing Japan to take straight away deep shots, which they don't tend to do as much. Yeah, so I think I was listening to the commentary on this, and Bryan says that Japan were throwing deep a little bit more than usual at this tournament, but it's definitely not considered their strength. So if you can force that and force it not to be Matsuno throwing crossfield after flick after he catches it, then that probably plays in your favour. So at the moment, I guess Japan are being forced into playing that game by Canada. Nice inside out break. Right, let's see how that guy got free. It's been marked by Tanaka. He just kind of goes around. So it's this guy here. Just goes around, loops around. Tanaka's like a bit awkwardly footed there. Kind of gets positioned, but he's turned right away from the guy, so he just runs behind. Yeah, could potentially have got some help from his teammates, but there's not really anyone clearly that's there. Let's have a look at the inside out flick that opened up. Yeah, that one. This opened up the defense really. Like even though you've got a poach in there, maybe a bit more coordination. Maybe he just needs to get a bit closer. Like if he's going to poach, he should fully poach. But then this player does well not to cut and just to like Be like, yeah, I'm in space. You can do this. You got that throw. So that's really the killer pass of the point, I'd say. Yeah, I think they do, Jure. I think they do use their size. They try and use their size advantage a lot more. Like Sweden versus Japan in 2012. No, 20. When was that? Was that 2012? Sweden versus Japan. Knocked them out in the quarters, I believe. Quite a lot of that was just throwing long throws in the wind. So yeah, you can see at this point Matsuno gets ready. He's going to go up. And then he pulls out of it because he realizes that it's not going to work, or that maybe he'll fail the guy. And then he just manages to get on the underside of that disc. And that's where the thumbnail is for the stream. He knocks it down and then points at himself. Mighty. Brilliant. As young as Nathan Hurst is, he does a better job of staying as close as possible to Matsuno. Yes. Well, I mean, as proven there with that D, right? That was Nathan Hurst D. Anatoly. Okay, next point. I guess Travis is still sorting out his headphones. No noise from him for a while.
He's a scary matchup for anybody who holds the disc. He gets more hand blocks on players than I've ever seen out of anybody.
See, he's very casually in there. Nice throw.
And a sliding catch, Kichikawa. And a Japanese answer.
Nice. So
It is quick. So I think going back to that Buzz Bullets nomadic tribe sort of situation, they seem to know each other really, really well. So there must be a high percentage of one team here. I mean that this throw here. Oh, sorry, you're probably back in stream. But that throw up the line was just ridiculous. And then this quick throw. Yeah, I don't know. Seems like they know each other well.
Oh yeah. No, they're definitely mostly from Buzz Bullets, if not all. There might be like a handful from another team or two, but it would be like select star players from other teams. I don't know if everyone knows the history of Buzz Bullets, but they all work for the same company, or a lot of them do. Like 80% of them work for Bunker Shutter, and Japanese working culture is that your colleagues, you have a recreational hobby with them as well that you share. And so Bunker Shutter, they were like, right, well, let's play Ultimate Frisbee. So then in work time, then they're training. And I don't know how the strategy evolved over there, but very, very quickly and suddenly they were, well, maybe not very, very quickly and suddenly, but like 2006, then it was like, okay, Japan are now the team to beat, pretty much, like, especially strategically. They won World Clubs in 2006. There was a lack of American teams at World Clubs that year because it was in Australia. But yeah, you had two Japan teams in the women's final, and then you had Buzz Bullets winning the men's against an Australian team, and it turned a lot of heads with their offensive and defensive strategy. And you see the defensive strategy here. Like, a lot of players are like tightly marked, so you see like down here, and you can see where all the tight marks are. But then there's also switching and communicating going on.
So this is similar sort of defense that you've analyzed in the final. Looks like that guy in the middle sort of champions the communication.
Yeah, he always keeps track of all the players. He knows where he needs to go. Like, if he sees an overload in one area, then he can move towards it. Or if he sees an underload, he can adjust as well. Right, foul or no foul? 2 if it's a foul. A foul by who, though? All right. 1, if it's not a foul. 2, if Canada are fouling Japan. 3, if Japan are fouling Canada. So think about who can avoid the contact and everything. So 1, if it's not a foul. 2, if Canada are fouling Japan. 3, if Japan are fouling Canada. With that one. So Sergeant Sarge just said no foul. Stoppage of play because injury, maybe injury caused by contact with another player, so therefore you don't need to sub off. Okay, 3. So a couple of people think that this is Japan fouling Canada.
Oh, he definitely adjusts. Nah, I'd just say offsetting fouls.
Offsetting foul, so 2 and 3.
Yeah, just because he's actually looking. Looks like he's looking to plant the Canadian guy, and he knocks him. But I don't think there's any clear space. I think people back home will know I'm a fairly physical player, so I always err on the side of more non-dangerous physical play. So I'm okay with it. But
Okay.
I do understand when people think it's something else.
Well, majority of the chat seems to think that if anyone's committing the foul, it's Japan. Well, majority of the chat are actually staying quiet about it, so maybe not got an opinion on it. Maybe that should be an option. And I'd probably be with the silent majority. It's hard to make any call on this. Just people coming together, really. Like, so maybe offsetting, but then maybe just like no foul, but it's okay to stop. What's up, guys? What's up, Aaron? Aaron shouting, using the full power of caps lock. Japanese foul, Aaron reckons.
So I want to get back to Rio's questions, but just to answer Luke quickly. So he says the defender should have had the hips facing the guy he's marking, and this wouldn't have happened. I tend to disagree in the sense that if he faces the guy's hips, his hips were facing the guy, he wouldn't have been able to make a decent enough defense up the line. He wants to he's trying to take that up line first up. So, yeah, like, he wants to face in that direction. Yeah, but we'll all have our opinions about that. And then Rio mentions, he said something up earlier in the chat about why Buzz Bullets are the best team in the world, because they spend more time practicing with each other. We played against the Crackerjacks from Singapore in 2018, and we didn't think they were going to be as good as they were. And we asked them how many times they practice, because they just know each other so well. They say every day. They literally in Singapore practice every single day. It's just ridiculous to know that people are able to do that.
Yeah, I think it makes a huge amount of difference as well. I know there's some players that join Sussex University end up training like 6 times a week with various junior teams and university teams and club teams and club trainings and everything. You see the desperate communication going on here, and rightly so, right? Number 7, he's like, okay, this is clearly the biggest threat over here. And then he sees, he's being beaten. So then he's like, okay, I'll go in on that. And at this moment, this defender should be like finding something else. Like, find the free person. And he's like, look, I'm clearly marking this guy. Like, he's fighting. Like, what are you doing? Like, go somewhere else. You see the desperation. He's like, opens his hand. Oh, and then almost a D over there.
What's happening in the backfield? Yeah, he's beaten. I think if he looks up and realizes that he's been helped out, he can make himself useful somewhere else.
Yeah, although there's a player deeper. So they actually kind of end up being okay over here, because this guy runs behind the overload, which is probably not the best plan. And then the score happens over here. So this player comes from, he just does a good fake here to get that player off balance, get into that off balance situation. And then he does well just to continue over there. It's a nice throw to lead him into the end zone. Yeah, if it was a little bit more overshot, this defender would have had a bid.
Yeah.
Marcus confirms that you are a physical player indeed. Oh, Joe Marcy manages to get my attention with an orange at Felix Ultimate thing. That could be a good idea if you want my attention. Give it an orange at. No, give it an at Felix Ultimate and it comes up orange for me, I guess. Anyway, he says, don't completely agree with the timing of my comment. You can't leave that guy until the poaching defender is actually tight on him. Otherwise, he could just stop and score. So I said that when this player goes up the line, yeah, and this poach is marking, boom. Like I would be happy at what point, if I'm this defender, at what point am I going to leave this player? Like, I think around here. Yeah, around here, because even if he stops dead in front of the end zone, this player is clearly committed by that point. So if he stops dead there, then this player is going to come in. So that's I think when I would then find the next player who's over there.
Yeah, I agree with you there. He's done. He's not making himself useful unless the guy cuts back. So
I think Joe's right, because I think originally I said it was like at this point, which is too early. Potentially.
okay.
I don't know, but if he does stop to try and get the disc here, then actually you got Mr. Orange Boots. Orange Boots has got an eye in for it. Alright, cool. And you see how this guy gets free up the line? It's because of his fake.
Yeah.
Wait. Oh no, it's because the force commits on this throw. Yeah, so he releases the backhand and the force has like jumped. And then he uses that against them. Right, okay, you've committed to that, so then he uses it just to get a yard or two in front, which then means this defender has to poach, which means this guy's kind of free, and the others are like, oh, we've got to do something. He starts pointing. But at the end, it's just that separation. Yeah, no, it's not that one. At the end, it's this separation over here. Because that's pretty good fake. Alright, moving on to the next point. I think it's too early since they're forcing flick. If forcing backhand, it's different. Oh, okay, so because he can throw around that side of the force, then potentially it should be a little bit later, because he can like hit it immediately. Maybe with the lefty backhand at that distance. Another inward pivot.
It's a nice throw. It's like a it was Joe White who makes these type of throws. These like high speed blading throws.
Just direct. Let's have a look. I don't like the midpoint switches. I mean the camera switches. So he catches it, and you see he turns inward rather than catching and going around the outside. Turns inwards, spaces downfield, gets full balance very, very quickly. Full balance. Rather than like a lot of players will put their balance in towards the up line throw. Instead he just gets control of his balance and then is able to step over. It's not even a particularly nice throw, but it's just accurate enough.
But I think if you compare this to that hammer or potential hammer from the Canadian player, as you said, he's already turned and facing where he wants to throw by the time their mark over here has even made a chance to get in position. Whereas with the previous one, with the Canadian player, he had all that time he had taken up pivoting the wrong way. So I think inward pivoting, there are times when maybe it's not the best if there is someone cutting up line, but as a rule, I like it.
Yeah. No, I've seen some bits in the Buzz Ironside game where, like I say, people are cutting up the line immediately, and even though they pivot inwards, they're still able to like get the inside out throws down the line. And if you think about those drills, the drills where you have someone like running across you, right? You always go for that inside out and then the around. And the same can kind of apply when you're looking down line. You know, really, if you throw down the line, that's like an around. So really, like, if you look for the inside out first, that actually ties in a lot more with those drills.
Yeah.
I need to kind of make a video to properly explain what I mean. This can be a bit hard to visualize.
I think when I first heard it from your videos, and I was also thinking like sometimes it feels weird and sometimes it's not the best thing to do, and then you think of examples when it's not the best thing to do, but you can equally think of examples when pivoting conventionally is not the best thing to do. So what should be your status quo? What's higher percentage of getting better throws off? And while there's no stats to back it up, I think inward pivoting does give you a better chance because you see the field for longer.
Yeah, I'd say inward as well. You see more of the field, you see it for longer. You get your balance quicker as well.
I mean, that one, it was with the play, but that was an inward pivot by convention, and he managed to hit that in stride.
Yeah. Well, when this cut is angled towards the middle of the field, isn't it? Or you have to angle it towards the middle of the field. That always feels really good when you catch it going towards the middle like that. And he doesn't throw this one. Instead, he goes for the big one. But even earlier on, there was a bit of an inward pivot on this pass here. Just steps in. Is that Kevin Underhill that Matty's saying to Kevin Underhill on the catch, I think.
Can see the mismatch choose. I think we talked about the quickness that Tim Sang adds, and guys like Nathan Hurst who are.
We got anyone in the chat that was playing either in this game or at this tournament? What were you doing, Travis?
I was probably drinking beer. Yes. What this is? Power pools. I had the rain hit already. Because I think we played like 2 games after it hit. So at this time we were probably on field like 55. We played Finland or Denmark or something around about this time, or Czech Republic.
So I think this was the morning after the first big bit of rain, but not the morning where everything was cancelled. But maybe some stuff.
Okay. Yeah, then I think our first game in that one, it was Czech Republic. I think they really handed it to us.
Right.
I think that's the thing about South Africa being so isolated. We don't get the opportunity to play this high-level world's top frisbee. I mean, in the States and Canada, they get it. In Europe, you guys are playing EUCC and those type of tournaments. So even clubs that were sort of our skill level were just better prepared for that intensity. And I think personally, when on 2016, I realized what the intensity is. And it prepared me well for 2018. So we can learn it. We just need more exposure to it.
Okay, yeah. You learn so much just from the exposure of playing an international tournament and seeing what's going on and the vibe of other teams as well. You know, like what's the mentality that they bring. Here is a travel call. Let's just do a bit of frame by frame. 1, if it's not a travel. 2, if you think it is a travel. 2, if you think it is a travel. The answer might surprise you. So 2, if you think that's a travel. 1, if you think it's not a travel.
Sure.
Oh, that at Felix doesn't go orange. Korono does a great job of, Marcus says this, of playing heads up. He does now. He's twice. It's twice now played with his head up, and because of that, he hasn't even had to make a cut really. Yes, that is a strength. Okay, looks like most people think this is not a travel. Yeah, travel on.
It's interesting.
What do you think?
I think Seth Wiggins said, what first thing you must do is not travel, and the second thing you must do is not look like you're traveling. So while he may not travel, he certainly looks like he's rounding the corner.
Yeah. Yeah, it's important. It's pretty much as important to look like you're not traveling as to not travel.
Yeah.
I looked for angles, AJ. I couldn't find any other angles. I think that replay that I found was actually the next pass.
So which is his pivot foot? His left foot is his pivot foot, and then when he throws, he drags it. So yeah, travel.
Yeah, he like lifts. So no. So I think if his right foot was his pivot foot, yeah, then that's fine. But this left foot being the pivot foot means that he's round the corner.
Sorry, right foot. I got my feet mixed up.
Yeah. I knew that's what you meant. So yeah, his left foot there is not legit pivot because this is the only one that's. And so even though the travel was probably called being like, oh, you were running as you threw it, because that's what it like feels like a little bit. That's the kind of. I don't know. That's what you imagine the call to be on is that he lifted his left foot before, but just the fact that he lifted his right foot makes it a travel because then it means he's rounded the corner. So
there's two options. Yeah.
Benjamin.
One option is that he drags his foot, and the other option is that he rounded the corner on the other foot. So it's a travel both ways.
Yeah, exactly. Watch every other catch by Japan, and they're way worse travels than most of them. Yeah, the thing, like, I feel like Japan do a fair amount of traveling, but it's quite it's relatively small traveling, and it's like unexpected traveling. It's just not typical traveling. Whereas if you watch probably watch Canada as well, then there'll be more like rounding the corner, going down the line travels. But like even then, like the disc gets checked in, and the first thing he does is travel. Yeah, the disc is checked in, and he lifts his left foot up and moves it a foot, and then pivots. Insta travel. Nice. I don't think it travels on the release of that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's good. That's almost like I'll just throw it again. I just throw the same throw. Next level check and skills. Hey, Bryan Jones, ladies and gentlemen, we have greatness. We're in the presence of greatness. Bryan Jones in the chat. He's the color commentator in this game. If you missed the streams that we did together last week, go check them out. Or was it 2 weeks ago now? I don't know. I'm losing track of time.
It was last week, Wednesday and Friday.
Oh, yeah. Okay, last week, Wednesday and Friday. Yeah, because today's Friday, isn't it? Good to have you with us again, Bryan, in the chat.
But I think there was an ulti-world analysis when Buzz Bullets beat one of the US teams, forget them, I think it was Revolver, about how they use their pivot foots differently to everyone else. Yeah. I think it's starting to get the better of them, that they're actually traveling now. Because they like to use their left foot or their wrong pivot foot as a way of throwing off the offense or the defense.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely different. It's definitely different. It'd be interesting to have a closer look at it. Oh. It's quite like it's almost good defense here. I mean, you can still be good defense and you get scored on. You see number 7 here, and this is for like maybe newer players. This is a critical thing. When the disc is in the air, before you go and get the mark on, turn and look. Yeah, so at this moment he looks what the threat is, and so there's no point in him just going and getting a force on because this is the only threat that's going to get thrown to. So he goes to then stifle it, but then as he then looks up, then instead of getting a force on, he's got this player then coming past him, and so he's actually committed just a bit in the wrong direction here, and then gets beaten around the side like that. So especially with this player coming in here, then he can afford to drop off a bit more to neutralize that momentum.
So when he turns to face, is he looking to defend the strike cut? Because he seems to see him and react to him, but then he still gets beaten around. So I'm wondering he seems to be wanting to defend this guy and then still gets beaten behind his back.
So he stops the first guy and then he just steps towards the other one. Like there's just one step there that he goes towards him. And that
I'm just trying to figure out who's he trying to defend after he beats that first guy, because he's not going back to the mark. He sees the guy and then gets himself wrong-footed.
Yeah.
Because if he sees that strike cut, I would assume he'll try and defend that strike space.
Yeah, I think he should. Maybe he's trying to use body position. Maybe he's trying to like go in front of the guy so that he has to stop cutting, but instead the guy bends around behind him, so he doesn't actually have to stop his momentum. So people in the chat, if you're enjoying the stream, then share it with your team. Yeah, like we've still got like at least an hour. So get on WhatsApp, post the link to your team, and get them to come and join in the chat. You can ask questions to either myself or Travis. I see Brian's being accosted with some questions in the chat as well. You can ask Joe Marvis any questions. He's asking Brian questions at the moment. It's a great place to be. So yeah, don't let your team miss out. If you've got teammates that you think could be interested, then connect with them. The more the merrier, right here.
Similarly, in Ultimate, you need to watch the film very closely to dissect if players are clearing correctly, and only the coaches truly know.
Interesting catch.
Sliding underneath Matsuno. So far, Canada.
It goes on the inside break to Korono. Korono throws down towards the line. Arakawa gets it right near the sideline. A lot of pressure from Canada. Swinging around to the far side now. Pass into the middle. Arakawa doesn't. Oh, Arakawa goes for the kind of slightly penetrating pass, but then Anatoly gets a great layout D. Yeah, that's a good D. You can see the offense has to like immediately recognizes the disc is a little bit behind, has to change and try and go towards it, and that's why there's contact. And Anatoly just kind of charges in, accelerates, throws his legs behind him, throws his arms towards the disc. That's great defense.
Yeah, very good defense. Wonder why the throw was underthrown. I think just pure execution, or was there anything subtle that he, I don't know, might have caused him to change the course, the action of that throw. He just seems like a throw into space. Maybe this defender on his left might be in the space, but yeah, it feels quite a simple completion.
It might be that he can't see the defender because of the force.
But it feels thrown behind with all that space. Even if there's no defender, you'd want to throw it into that space.
Yeah. This other defender here like has a little look at harassing it, just like there, a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's that guy.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah, but you know, against most teams that would work, and it's just Anatoly.
It's very good defense.
Yeah. Would that be a dangerous play under the new rules? No, I think it's contact with the arm that is legitimate after. So you can hit the disc out of the air and then like hitting someone's arm, and then that's not a foul. But I don't think crashing into someone's body, if it was more dangerous than that, would be allowed under WUGC. But because like the offense has come back towards it, and because it's not like super heavy dangerous contact, then I don't think that would be a foul. If anyone disagrees, you can put 2 in the chat. 2 for a foul in this play. But I'm not gonna do a full vote because I think that's here's the best angle. Well, if you do think it's a foul, just put 2 in the chat. We can maybe discuss it. I think that'd be a pretty light call though, wouldn't it? because he's pretty much able to avoid much contact. You can see so the danger thing is if this leg comes down straight and hard, but because they're both got incredible control over their bodies, he's actually able to lift his leg up again so it doesn't get nullered.
I think the Japanese player does a very good job of trying to make the grab and avoiding moving his body into the space, because his body tucks away from it. I don't know if he could have done it, but if he had moved a step over, he would have been barreled into.
Yeah, true. He had to try and reach in front of the guy instead.
Yeah.
Marcus has given some analysis in the chat. I do want to keep the stream moving though, but that could be a good one for people to look back at. The timing on the cut and Sang clearing hard into the stack. Yeah, I think that's just Vasiliev getting a little bit trigger happy. You know, it feels like he wants the point to end. Not really any need for that. Like, something he should notice is that this player's got 2 defenders on him, right? So someone's free. I think it might be this player here that's just running away from the space. That player should definitely be coming to this space over here. Right, that is the free guy. So maybe that's why he throws it. It's because, like, look, you're free. And he almost trusts this guy, being like, you're free, so go somewhere where you can get the disc. But he doesn't, he runs to Matsuno.
That's just a good switch. I think when that analysis you did of the the Italian team,
Bologna,
our captain sort of got fooled into these sort of situations where they think someone's open and the switch occurs and they've just got someone that away.
Yeah, it's a nightmare for a thrower to have to not only look for the one-to-one matchups, but also to make sure the player isn't being poached onto or there's no switches happening. Yeah, when I run training sessions on flex defense, you know, where you're surrounding stacks and switching and stuff, sometimes I play the role of the thrower, and I'm like a conservative thrower, right? When I'm in this drill. And I look up and I just see the defenders when people are doing it in a training situation, in like a drill exercise type situation, and the focus levels are high, then it's an absolute nightmare for a thrower. Like, you're just looking up everyone that's free. As soon as you notice they're free, then there's another defender coming at them from a different angle, you know. So then you have to recalculate, and as soon as you've recalculated, the defense have adjusted again.
I think that's where the power of a high switching game lies. Like, I mean, yes, you might give up a bit, but in any defense, you're giving up something. And that switch-based defense, they might get a blown coverage or something, but those type of turnovers, if you can generate turnovers by lulling the throw into a false sense of security, sometimes more valuable than the odd blown switch, which could result in a score that might have happened anyway.
Yeah. I mean, defense has got a lot more license to try something out, you know, because if you don't mix it up in defense, then you know you're probably not going to do what you need to do to get turnovers and scores. So you've got to try some different stuff.
And I think you nailed it on the head when you were speaking to Bryan in the Pony stream about how, because they won, everyone's like, wow, new innovative style. This is how you can defend now. And just getting people like when BuzzBullets beat, was it Revolver? They were also like, look at these blady throws that are being made. They're the way to beat this team. It seems if you win, you tend to get a lot of traction, which is fair point. So it's nice seeing people win using unconventional tactics.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, it turns heads, doesn't it? I'm still just kind of in awe of Matsuno. Like,
yeah, I've always been.
A couple of yards separation, if that, and he puts it there. Yeah, it's like floating down in the back corner. It's like literally just he's pushing every single limit whilst making it as easy as possible for his receiver.
I'm just wondering if they Felix, are you left or right-handed?
Right-handed.
Yeah, I wonder if there are any left-handers in the chat. And just because I find left-handed people have a distinct advantage when it comes to throwing, because people generally would set their force based on a right-handed pivot, and if you're not acutely aware that someone's left-handed, they can catch you off guard. So I want to know what people think that are left-handed, if they believe they have that advantage.
Yeah, I mean, does it feel like the mark just isn't tight on you half the time?
Yeah, because I've been caught out many times when you set a good mark for a right-handed person, and then this like left-handed flick comes out, and yeah.
Well, this is an interesting point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be interested to hear if anyone in the chat, any lefties in the chat, feel that difference. It could just be that they're so used to it that they don't really notice it. They just think throwing's easy, break the force is easy. So
Canada are playing a quick small ball type game now, or they were.
Yeah, well,
I think they realizing that Japan are quite loose up the half field.
Yeah, they didn't even mark. So look at. So I'm trying to get this one frame. They know they're not going to run down, right? And you see archery pulls. He literally just stops. He's like taking four steps over the end zone line. And then if anyone's seen USA Japan game, USA looked very like awkward when they were passing it up, and Canada look actually quite casual. You know, like super cash, nice lead, slow pass, little throw and go flick. Yeah, little throw and go flick. Maybe time travel, maybe not. Throw and go flick, get the disc back, you know, and you still got the disc here at the back of your shape. So something I teach specifically with hex is that you don't want to like try and eat the yards up early in the stall count. Early in the point after you catch a pull before the defense has arrived. You don't want to throw to people that are in front, you know, at the front of your shape. You want the disc to stay at the back. Because then when the defense do arrive, then you have options out in front of you. If you just pass it forwards and then the defense arrive, then all your players are behind the disc. So it's not as an ideal place to attack from. But, you know, Canada, partly because they followed the throw, keep the disc at the back, another quick throw and go move, catch and throw. And then this is like, let's have a look at it from Japan's point of view. Like there's almost like a rule here that he's not allowed to go across the halfway line.
Yeah.
Like the brick mark is here. Yeah. You see he's like hunting. He goes in. Kind of pass it around a bit more. So that one's.
It seems Canada were prepared for this though. They seem to have done their homework. They didn't panic.
Yeah, this is error. Okay, this Japanese player here, he's marking 1-to-1 against this guy, which isn't on the same page as what his teammates are doing, because number 16 over here is marking this guy over here, right? So in this situation with those players, this Japanese defender is marking this guy over here. That situation, like this defender should not be running past that offense like that. Right, and there's a few steps that he has to adjust. If your defense takes you near a free player, then you should be marking that free player.
Yeah.
And then he goes.
Like I think from that setup, it looks like a good type of surround. You've got all bases covered for any cut going into any space, and then he what does he do? He seems to.
It's because he's tied to this guy. So all he's thinking about is marking that guy, matching his movements. So he doesn't adjust.
But it's strange because that seems to be the most dangerous space, is right in front on the fourth side. So yeah, to overbid like that seems a bit weird. But I guess it's what, day 3 or 4. 6-all, tough
Come
games.
on, if you're the second best team in the world, then
Yeah.
you got to have those high expectations. And I'm sure he does, like, but it's just a little bit of field awareness lacking. He's too dedicated to the one-to-one marking here, because you can see he's mirroring that guy pretty well, but he shouldn't be thinking about that. He should be thinking about all the players and all his defenders as well, because 16 is already playing like that. 16 is playing a space game. Like he's marking 20, and then he's like, okay, there's a big space over there, I'll take a step towards there. He turns around and sees 20 here and sees this player coming towards him. So then he's like, okay, well, if I don't move, I'm still being efficient because I can mark this guy 100%. But he's not expecting this guy not to get picked up. He should totally get picked up. This is something I mentioned in the stream with Bryan, I think. Like, there's just sometimes that some of the players on Japan just make a pretty fundamental error like that, and so they don't play their strategy as well as other teams play their strategy.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that the strategy doesn't have potential. In fact, quite to the contrary. If Japan can come second in the world and they're still making some fundamental mistakes, it's just incredibly hard to spot those fundamental mistakes because everything's happening so quickly. Then it means that strategy can actually take you to the top spot.
But yeah, I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier, is that there are mistakes. Just like in 1-to-1, you can get beat. But if you make a mistake and it results in a score against a good offense, that's okay if you're generating opportunities for turns. It's probably more important to live with those mistakes, the odd concentration error that will happen.
Yeah. So here's another pick. You got this player marking Korono, I think, and he peels off, flash poach type style, goes into the lane, stifles Arakawa's initial cut, and then just kind of bends and runs, pretty much fouls Arakawa, or like almost fouls Arakawa. I mean, that it looks bad in slow motion, right, with that elbow. That looks bad, but he doesn't actually touch Arakawa, and then he goes straight into his teammate, and it's the same thing as the one in the front of the end zone. Yeah, like this defender's chosen to be here, and all he has to do for it to be a legitimate pick is to body check his teammate. Yeah, get in his teammate's way. Like, yeah, getting in the offense's way is one thing, and riding that line so that you're not initiating contact and yet you're physically stopping them from going somewhere. But when it comes to your teammate, you can just be in their way. The teammate can be like, right, that's it, play stops. And for a lot of, for this game, then that's advantage to Canada, advantage defense, because play stops. I know some teams, some offenses like stop start, so they thrive on picks.
Yeah.
Right, in the chat, let's have a vote. Okay, and you can vote for multiple things. 1, if you think it's a legitimate pick call. 2, if you think it's not a pick. 3, if you think picks are silly. 1, if it's a legitimate pick. 2, if it's no pick. 3, if picks are silly. What do you think, Travis? I mean, I'm giving you a very biased introduction to it.
Right now, Morgan Hibbert was nowhere near the player who received the disc.
I think with this one, actually, Reuben Berg gives some clarification after this point, but I don't think it's... So the point that the commentators come up with is that maybe it's not a pick. Maybe it's not a pick because this player is so far away from his mark, right? But then in the rule, does that distance mean anything, or is it just this distance? Because this player is being picked. It doesn't actually say anything about the player that's picking them. Like, I don't think it does anyway. I'm 80% sure, 85% maybe, but it doesn't say anything about that player that's in the way having to be near a player. All right, so Jiraiya thinks it's a pick and it's picks the city rule. Luke picks the city rule. Benjamin, it's a pick and picks the city rule. I swear by repetition we're gonna get something happening. But yeah, I've chatted to Reuben about it. Reuben's like the head of the rules committee, I think, in WUFTF. and Noah thinks the picks are silly, but picks are usually a decent rule. And he doesn't like picks, but he doesn't like them because they slow the game down, right? I've got more of a strategic disagreement with them, but Reuben doesn't want picks. Like, yeah, he wants the rule to be fixed in some way, as do I. But we kind of have different approaches to it. So, you know, it's still kind of working to the same end or a similar end. So nobody thought that that wasn't a pick, and the other player can just be stood minding their own business. So I think when Reuben clarifies it, the sideline, that's an epic break, isn't it? Tanaka. Reuben clarifies about how many passes after the pick, so like the continuation after the pick, basically. And so a pick happens there, and then yeah, the pick happens. He's got the disc, and there's one pass here, and another pass there. And I think there's a discussion of whether that second continuation pass should count or not. And again, like I suppose that's that. Then this comes into effect because this guy, if he is picked, then he can catch up. But he's so far away, he can no longer be considered to be marking that guy. So I don't think he should be allowed to catch up. And probably, I think that continuation throw should be allowed because, you know, these defenders that are near the throw can affect it. They don't, you know, you're still trying to stop that pass. But we'll hear Reuben clarify whether the second continuation pass is legit. Oh, look, Tanaka's like shocked. What's he saying? Is he saying still comes in on 3? 2. That's a weird way of saying 2. French Canadian. That's the French Canadian style. Quentin Tarantino, I'll know what I'm talking about. So he wants it on 2, so he catches it here. Stalling 1. Or, you know, maybe as you catch. 1, 2. Yeah. Okay, 0. They go to 0. It does feel a bit cheap if it comes in on 2. Seeing as the disc goes back to him anyway. So number 8 here, look at his positioning now when the disc is checked in versus when the pick happened. They were like next to each other. Let's move on. Nice catch. Nice throw. So another inward pivot here, a bit of an awkward looking one. Catches it, steps in. Is this a bit of a travel? No, it's like completely not a travel, but it might feel like a travel. Like especially to the defender who's normally expecting people to round that corner a little bit or to at least face that way. Yeah, he does well. And then he throws up the line, you see, and there's not much. Like he catches it, boom, and then like a second and a half later, he's then releasing it up the line. So there's not much delay really in being able to get that angle throw off. Boobity boo. I can hear you tapping away a little bit. Nice. Let's just have a look at Korono's cut. How did Korono get free? Oh, he just runs. He just runs to the end zone. He starts from here. So I think he does a little... Oh yeah, there we go. That's it. And he just trusts it and carries on going. Huh. He doesn't even sprint it, I don't think. Okay, next point. Oh, here we go. We're going to listen to Reuben. And I'm just going to turn the audio up. You might have to put the audio on your stream if you want to hear it.
On the pick call, it looked like Morgan Hibbert was pretty far off his man.
Yeah, there was a pick called there. I didn't actually see the pick occur, but there was discussion that it could only go for 1 pass for continuation. The pass could have stayed where it was. There's no rule on how many passes you can have for continuation if it did not affect the play.
Thank you, Reuben Berg, the lead game advisor. Appreciate the clarification.
No rule on how many passes you can have for continuation if it did not affect the play.
There's no rule on how many passes you can have for continuation if it did not affect the play. So I guess as soon as starts having affected the play, then that's when the continuation should stop.
Did a score here and then received.
I'm sorry, I just fast forwarded through that point pretty much.
Canada currently up by a break. A chance for Canada to score here and then receive to begin the second half. But Kelly's shot was too far. Yes, Matsuno had peeled off to help, but Gaelitz was no.
Still, yeah, good held defense there.
Yeah.
Shot was still on, I think, but it's a tight window.
Yeah, it is a tight window with Matsuno there.
And I think that's what goes through people's heads once they start understanding that there's someone going to be near you. Like their mind's not totally focused on putting it into the right place. They're more focused on where the other people are, and that makes these throws more inaccurate.
Had peeled off to help.
Yeah, you can make little small adjustments that just mess the throw up at the end, can't you?
But Gaelitz was nowhere close to that huck.
Joe Marmosty's confused by the rule clarification. So the clarification was given by Reuben Berg, who's the head of the rules committee. No limit to the number of passes, continuation passes allowed after, if it doesn't affect the play. That's cool. It's just like there's something here as well. What is this? Inward pivot. Yeah, okay, so an inward pivot here, catches it going towards the sideline, steps across and throws a killer. Like that's a killer pass, you know, that's penetrating the defense right there. You know. And that's after catching this pass here. So normally you're in this position, you look down the line, and then you wait for Matsuno to get free down here down the line. But because he's able to pivot across, boom, and you can see the forwards has been totally flummoxed by that as well. Having to turn around by that kind of angle. Straight to Matsuno, and then Matsuno does interesting stuff with his balance here. And then he slips, loses it, but then he's able to just get up from there. And he's like, okay, do I have an advantage now that my center of mass is low? Well, my foot's in the right place to throw this flick. Nice.
Matsuno kept his footing, crosses the disc to Inomata. Timeout.
I think there are continuation. No, I think you're thinking Joe Mumsine. I think you're thinking about if there's a turnover, then it's a continuation. Like if there's a turnover on the next pass, then there used to be a discrepancy between whether that counted as a turn USAU and WUGC, or maybe if it's the turns on the second pass. Yeah, what if there's a pick and then there's a complete pass and then there's a turnover on the next pass, but nobody involved in those two passes heard the pick? Then does that first pass count, but the turnover pass doesn't count? Maybe someone in the chat can help with the rules. Ravi's here. Ravi Vasudevan, famous commentator on all the fancy and Alter World channels and Eurozone broadcaster. Yes, you can tell his rules knowledge is up to date, or not up to date, but top notch, because Ravi points out, I think that was the case before the rule change in 2013. Just bring out, oh yeah, the 2013 rule set. Oh, okay, Ravi knows what he's talking about. WUGC now has a continuation rule that any number of passes can stand and it doesn't affect, if it doesn't affect. iHacker says, thanks very much for all this awesome content, I think it means. It's the perfect time for us. Yeah, you're welcome, iHacker. I figured it's a perfect time, right? And it's nice, isn't it? Just spending a couple hours, a couple times a week, watching over some frisbee. I really enjoy looking really closely into frisbee and looking at the techniques and the minutiae, should I say. This is a nice shot. Mike Palmer behind the camera, the field cam. Crowd getting involved with it. I like that. Yeah, thanks, iHacker. It's appreciated. Yes, so Ravi clarifies, if you stop because you heard the call, that counts as it affecting.
Near the end zone, it's attacking.
Travis is having some problems with his Wi-Fi. That's cool. We can hear your tapping a little bit, Travis. So maybe if you're not in a position to make comments.
I don't know. It's South Africa. We don't have nice things. Well, nice things are slow.
Right.
From this angled stack, Bryan.
Usually they like to get it to the break side and then get defenders out of position. Here they have the receiver shift and it opened up for Matsuno.
Matsuno just showing the
Jumping around with the disc in his hands. So this is like the weird. This is like the weird traveling, right? And Matsuno gets it here. It's not. It doesn't really affect, but he does a little jump, 2-footed jump, a couple of steps after catching. See, did it again. Oh, that's nice there. It's wearing a funny hat. So it looks like they just had two people basically marking the disc around. They've got a third person involved. Quite a disciplined stack.
Short, crisp throws, the ability to get a lot of rotation on the disc.
Such a nice throw.
Yeah. They've been looking for this inside break, and they got it the second time. But the first time he looked for it from that vert stack, and no one cut for it.
Right.
Go try to generate another one.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to go back and have a look at it.
I think they get it when you swing it backhand. They normally pull the defender across, and then you get that inside break to the stack.
Nice.
Let's see if it happens.
Right, just yeah, round this time.
Yeah, that one was simple.
Matsuno just is just like initial speed. He's just even if he's marked tight, just boom, just like yeah, I've got a yard and it's perfectly timed.
But the person setting the mark is tired. He's got hands on his knees. He doesn't look ready for that.
Well, he's been run around for ages. You see.
Yeah.
I wish I knew all their names. Maybe it's Koike. I'm not sure. Yeah, he's getting the old runaround. He has to stop the upline, and he comes back again, gets the disc. Oh no. Oh no, here he is. So where's he gone? Okay, so he's gone far side. Comes in, gets it, and this is the throw. This is the and hit that inside out. So nice. That angle.
So yeah, so here he goes over and gets beaten on that inside break, and then in the second one he doesn't hit up that inside break and gets beaten around.
Mm-hmm.
Good manipulation by the Japanese. Stops it around there nicely.
There's the call, and then yeah, gets it here. Yeah, very nice throws. I think the stream, the stream is cut out here because of the weather, I think.
Oh, okay.
Or something. Not the not my stream, but the original stream to YouTube.
It was just a full swing, and from there Matsuno burns McKnight to the cone for the goal.
Okay, iHacker says, what do you think of the way the Japanese throw forehands from solo? It's an interesting technique, isn't it? Is it because the receiver's height? Probably not. Japanese strategy preference simply to beat the mark. It's just a different technique. You know, like the flick. You know, likewise they hold kind of both hands on the disc when they go hold it out to threaten a flick. When they throw those inside out breaks, they tend to drop their hips to the ground. You know, get the whole center of mass just low as quickly as possible and release. And it's clearly effective.
I think it's a low center of mass that they go for. That seems to make them release quicker and more accurately.
Okay, so we're at halftime. We've been streaming for 1.5 hours. I could do another hour. Let's put it to a vote. Well, are you able to stay on for an hour, Travis?
Yeah, I have time. I hope my stream keeps up with me.
Okay. Well,
but yeah, I'm fine.
if we get 10 people, saying, give us a one in the chat if you want to carry on for an hour. But if you think we should end here because it's half time, and then come back on next Wednesday maybe, or next Friday, and do the second half of the game, then give us a 2. Give us a 2 if you think we should break it up now, and 1.5 hours is plenty time for a live stream. Give us a 1 if you want us to want to carry on with it and try and get through the whole game, or at least go for another hour and see where we are then. Oh, okay. A lot of ones.
That's 10, okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, cool. 10, maybe even 11. All right, the people have spoken. Thanks everybody for joining us on the stream. Like I said earlier, just share this with your team on WhatsApp if you think that they'd be interested in it. It can be a good thing for you to kind of connect about. It's a good time to be there for your teammates and get everyone, keeping those connections fresh. And drop it a thumbs up as well, and then the video will be seen by more people. If you subscribe, if someone subscribes, then I think it'll play a little jingle, and we get a little GIF, which is actually one of the first Frisbee adverts, Wamo Frisbee adverts. So if you haven't subscribed yet, and you subscribe whilst we're live, then I think that should happen. We should get a little notification and a little jingle. So it's worth it just for that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. When I think you edited the Bryan Jones one to those, what it was, 12-minute clip of some cool things that you said in those streams, and that was quite a nice one to see. Watch it last night, I think, just to see what I missed. So it's good to have that. See what you're putting on your channel, what you're editing.
Yeah. I could do with some help with that, actually. So if there's anyone watching who would be up for just making a little note of when the most interesting stuff is in the stream, or even if you can't watch the stream live and you're definitely going to watch it back, then make a little note of the time signatures when the most interesting stuff happens, because it's can be easier for other people to judge that, right? Because I'm so involved with it. And 2, that task of going through 4 hours of stuff that I've of the live stream, it's very time consuming for me. And with the Bryan Jones one, the pony one, I just the jingle. Got the jingle. Thank you, Ingeborg. So that was one of the first Whammo adverts for Frisbee.
Class.
So yeah, with the pony one, I just went through the second half, but really the most memorable stuff happened in the first half in terms of in the game, because there's that collision and things like that. But I went through the second half and I was like, right, this is all good stuff, and it's already 12 minutes, so let's just make the video and get it out there. But yeah, if anyone else can help with that, then get in touch. I'm looking to make this continue with this being a regular thing, so your help is much appreciated. So it's a miscommunication here. I've been playing through. Hopefully you've seen this guy pulls out of his cut pretty much as the guy decides he's going to throw it, and so the defender's able to just attack the disc.
But was it a good decision to throw it if he had stuck to his cut? It looked suspiciously. I guess it could have come off. He's got enough separation.
Yeah, I think it would have been alright. Fast break from the Japanese, but a floaty throw. I think it's kind of a bit of a rookie Japan line as well. I say rookie, they're still amazing players, but I think there's a lot of players on here that you don't often see. And that's a fair shot to be taking. The force does well to put pressure on it. It's just a slightly off shape and it just rises a bit much. Nice quick fast break. Good wide pivot. And then this defender does well. Where does that defender even come from? Let's have a look.
But, I mean, I don't know if it's the way Japan want to play, but this guy on the sideline, this sort of supporting play with a white cap, he comes up, and if you'd given it to him, he had a bit more opportunity to make something happen. He's just open.
100%.
I know. I still think the shot's okay, but that guy, that white cap guy on the sideline,
Yeah,
yeah,
sure.
potential opportunity there.
For sure. Yeah, thanks for trying, Luke. Yeah, I'm aware that doesn't work. has to be a fresh subscriber. But I think if anyone else subscribes, we get the jingle again. So. Oh, close good.
Underhill, Lindquist, Galitz.
Let's just have a look at the huck when the huck's thrown. Looks like this guy gets a little bit of separation going deep, and then bombs it. That's quite close. We'll see on the replay probably how close he was there. Yeah. Like this is kind of similar kind of concept to what we were saying with Japan. You know, instead of looking for the long one, take the short open one, and that just opens up angles. You know.
Yeah.
Like he wouldn't if this player cuts back to that corner, he can't throw there, but because it just moves, and he can cut back to the corner, and it's an immediate goal. It's classic changing the angles of attack type thing. Here's the D. Watch the laying out force. Oh, he gets so quick. Maybe he touches it. Maybe maybe Kevin Underhill touches that.
He does.
Are you sure?
Oh, what? Oh.
All right. Put one in. No, put two in the chat if you think he touches it. One if you think it goes between his arms. 3 if you think it's a travel. So two if you think he touches it. Does he touch it? It's hard to say. Let's have a look at the other end. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, I mean, really, Japanese player could have got that earlier. If you look at his, he hasn't got a huge amount of air, like, so he's kind of got underneath it a little bit. Oh, it's because he looks back and checks as well. He's like, oh, how close is this guy? And then he gets underneath it a bit, so he has to try and jump straight up rather than getting a little run up to it. Yeah, I agree with you, Jira. Oh wait, Jira said he did touch it, right? I'm not sure he did. I'm not sure he did. Oh, maybe he did though, because this did pop up.
Yeah, it's tough. I think, regardless, the defender did his job because that throw wasn't optimal. And you can see by the way the cutter has to adjust. Good enough.
Yeah.
You can't expect more.
Oh, iHacker thinks that he didn't.
Martin hasn't played much this game. He's on Korono. They go deep, and Korono has it. Martin sprawled out, quickly pops up.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Luke. But I can think we all have had that opportunity when you throw that goes to no one, and you look to your left and there's someone open and free waiting to receive the disc.
Yeah. Yeah, he looks like, just doing from memory, but he looks like to the other side first, to someone that's marked, and he's like, oh, I can't hurt you. I've noticed that with some players, they find options that are covered first, and then fake, and they're happy with that.
Yeah.
But it's way more valuable to actually not look at those options and to find an option that is potentially open, and then throw right to them. Okay, what flag should we look at? Okay, this flag here, yellow, green, red. Yellow, green, red. You got any idea, Travis?
I do see it. I don't know whose it is.
Anyone in the chat? Don't cheat. Yellow, green, red. Ivory Coast suggests AJ.
No, they went there. It looks very African, but I don't think there were any other African teams. The only one was, I think, apparently, it could be Congo, but there was one team that had to pull out. an African team because they couldn't get visas.
Yeah, I think that
And
was.
it's not DRC, but it could be Republic of Congo.
Yeah, this is DRC, and they had to pull out, I think.
Yeah, so but it's not the DRC's flag. But yeah.
Yeah, so I think chat's got it. So it does look like an African flag, but it's actually not. And I recognize it from. I'm pretty sure about this, and 2 people in the chat guess as well. But I recognize it from European indoors, where the Lithuanian women's team did amazingly well, and I believe that's the Lithuanian flag. Classic, nice celebration. This is the precursor to the.
Does the Lithuanian flag have a castle on it in the middle?
I do not know. So no to doping. Like he puts his hands at exactly the same time as him. That's brilliant. Matsuno copies him, like not just here, but Matsuno does the same in the final after catching a point. Goes and stands next to the game advisor and puts his hands up. Okay, we've seen that angle already. Yeah, leg brilliant. So AJ confirms. Thanks for doing the legwork there, AJ. That is Lithuania, no castle.
Bracket play. Winner of this game will play the winner of USA and Australia. 1:30 local time. Wonder what the conditions will be like for that game. Only time will tell.
Very deep stack.
Is virtually the number 1 seed heading into the bracket.
Yeah.
Would be the 2 seed going into the bracket, and after that, Brian, starting tomorrow, it's basically do or die in the pursuit of a world championship.
Did he not get picked up? Yeah, he did get picked up. It's inside out. Nice D, Matsuno. So you see him go deep very early, and he's very free as well. How? All right. So I mean, this is the thing about you have to take gambles on defense. That this defender comes in, and then he's like, right, my momentum is actually taking me. If this throw to this guy is like slightly floaty, then he has a chance at it. And he's committed to that very early, and before this player can actually see, oh, I might as well carry on going because it's going to stay with this guy. So then they end up overloaded, and this guy's got 30-yard separation, and he runs past a few defenders. Like, I mean, he's busy trying to cover this undercut, and these guys are a bit out of the way. But then you got Matsuno, and he's lingering off the back of the stack. Sees that go, and then this is if you have that space, then it's quite nice to put an inside out, backhand out, because I'm going to get super technical with this. So inside out throws are easier to catch up high because the part of the disc that you want to catch is the lowest part of the disc, right? For outside in throws that are going forwards, you have to you should get your hand around to the top of the disc so that the rotation means that it sticks into your hand. Yeah, the spin is going into your hand at the top. If you put your hand at the bottom of an outside in throw, then the rotation means that it's trying to bounce out of your hand. Whereas the opposite is true of inside out. So for an inside out throw, if you can get up and just touch the lowest possible point on the disc, that is the best point to catch because that's the bit that's actually spinning into your hand. If you get around the top, then that's when it spins out of your hand and bounces down. So it means it is slightly better for offense, but it is weirder as well. It's like not as usual. And Matsuno just does really well here to pressure in at exactly the right point. There's a much nicer replay of it here.
I'm just wondering because I mean that was a pretty good to help D more than a poach.
Yeah.
And he seems to always be in that position to make that come from behind type of poach or D. Do you think Japan's strategy is to keep him at the back of the stack, or do you think he just ends up there? Because here he's always hovering around the back. He's one of those guys in the white caps.
Yeah, he's not. He's the guy he's marking goes to the back. So I don't think you can say for sure. There's definitely some points and in the final as well where he'll play 10 yards off the back of this person. But I think in this situation he just happens to end up being furthest back. And you can see how aware he is. You see he starts to go deep before the guy's wound up. Just sees he's still looking at him. So it's like, right, I'll go get that. Very nice D. Doesn't touch the disc. But the Canadian player knows that he will touch it if the Canadian guy's not there. I think he will anyway.
Matsuno looks like he still has it, doesn't it?
Incredible player.
That's a cool.
Low laser. No.
Ooh.
Oof.
I don't think it's a turn. I think the disc goes back. Yeah. Let's have a look at what this call was. Pick maybe.
Matsuno looks like he still has it, doesn't it?
Incredible player.
Yeah, I think it's a pick. Right. So this defender's poached off. Matsuno gets a pass in the middle. He has to dive to the left a bit to get it. This defender here gets picked. So after that throw, this defender runs around here and then has to go through Matsuno. But then this player here, after throwing, he runs in that direction. So this defender is just kind of being a little bit loose. And like, yeah, I'm going to go downfield now because my player's going downfield. He runs into Matsuno. So I think that's a pick. Let's put it to the chat. Put 2 if you think that is a pick. Put 1 if you think there's no pick there. Shouldn't be called. And 3 if it's a pick that picks a silly rule. I'm just going to put this in my little.
Now, did this? I don't actually know if it came back or not.
Yeah, it came
but it came back. So do you think it should? I mean, he has a free throw. He throws it. It's a turnover. Pick or not? Yeah, I think it's a yeah. We'll see what people say.
Yeah, that's probably a better question than the pick. All right, Jared's with us on the silly pick things. I think we've probably had enough pick votes for today. But yeah, that's a more interesting point. And I think it should be a turn, right? Because
yeah, I mean, he had a free throw, so the pick didn't affect his ability to throw at all. Maybe he had decided to do it because the pick was called already, but
well, yeah, it's not necessarily true. Like if he hears pick just as he's winding up, like really loudly, then it does affect you, you know. And then you're like, well, you know, someone shouted just before I threw the disc, and you know, it made me seize up. So there's an argument that could be made. Moni thinks the turn should stay. I tend to agree. It just depends a little bit.
Okay, so AJ is not familiar with WIFDIF rules. I used to know them very well. I haven't read them in a few months, but I think it's just about affecting the play. The pick, a turnover will stand if the throw is made. After it's made, and they can agree that it hasn't affected the play. So, I think it's similar. It's in line with the USA U rules on that. Everyone seems to agree.
Yeah. Okay.
That's interesting because this is now a break. Okay. That was a break. Japan are super happy. They're 2 points up, but they got it from a potential turnover.
You don't see many hammers.
Nah.
And then I think Matsuno, the whole time he knows he's not going to throw this, but the fact that throws that fake is believable and gets these 2 defenders there means that then that one's hittable.
Along with Wasil, but Japan.
Yeah, because I think if he hadn't spent that extra bit of energy just to look and then fake, and if he had just immediately turned to go the inside, then I think the defender could have interfered. But whoop whoop, and then easy.
Matsuno bit 100 minutes.
Calling.
Feels like he was setting that up. He was always going to pass to that guy.
Away from there.
He looked like he was just throwing his defender off.
Yeah, yeah,
Sang and Underhill,
entirely.
handlers against this zone defense. Sagging off Japan.
Try and go move.
Marking aggressively.
Not thrown back to.
Whatsoever here in Nassau.
Japan with their looser kind of defense. It's the Japan zone, isn't it? Another hammer.
Well, if you have a lead and you encourage a team to
Stop the flow and have to dump it back.
held the disc for 40 minutes here,
Mark Lloyd.
Japan would win.
Go to some old school Hoosiers basketball.
The four corners.
So Japan maybe like slowing the game down. They're like 10-8 up.
Protect the deep and just really
Yeah.
put pressure on the disc. But you see how well they move. And Canada hasn't done so well. Now they're
Ooh.
jailbreaking through.
Nice. So here the shouts. There's, I think they're transitioning now.
Easy shot.
Over halfway line.
Passed up the difficult one. Lindquist almost a D from Furuzawa. Octorloni just shy of the goal line.
I'll have to go back in a minute and have a look at that bid.
Lindquist.
But then they've done well to recover now. Like they got punished for it with a couple of big throws, but now they're pretty sorted. Not taking the thrower, marking the thrower last, making sure they get everyone else marked out first.
Talked about before, the switching still happening, putting a lot of pressure on the mark.
Travel.
Before the switching still happening, not putting a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, like he's coming under that way, he catches and then just steps inwards. Guess it's travel. It's a bit of a pernickety call. But if he had thrown the inside out break, then it would have been
Yeah, it feels a bit of a tough call considering the way Japan play.
Up the line. That was
Oh,
crafty.
nice.
Underhill.
nice throw. Travel? Yeah, quite a big travel,
Yeah.
right? Which gains him the advantage because, like, he takes a little step out with his right. So his left foot is his pivot foot here, I believe. Yeah, that right foot's moving the whole time. So left foot's the pivot foot, and then it lifts up, a good few frames, and moves good distance before the disc is released, I think. Okay, let's look back at. There was a bid, wasn't there? There's a Japan player came flying past,
Yeah.
and that was just before they actually got right up to the endzone line. Okay, here it is. So you can see they're in a bit of trouble, and he's chosen this one here, and this defender spied it, so it makes that. Yeah, and then you can see the kind of chain reaction afterwards. So then this player should be marking 43 here, but he only sees him after there, which is fair enough. And then you see now he turns around and he's like, right, where's that guy gone? Where's the free guy? And he's like, oh
Yeah, I'll forgive him on that one. That was tough to spot that guy.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think what happens in a full switching based defense, hopefully someone could recognize someone getting open and just nullify him.
Yeah.
Everyone's very focused on their person. That being said, there's no one that can really. Maybe him.
Yeah. As soon as
white cap guy.
Yeah, as soon as he has to run then that line, then it pushes that guy over. So it does happen. It's just a bit reactive rather than preemptive. I mean,
that's where I'm keen to see how the flex shapes up with a team that plays it quite often.
yeah.
I haven't experienced it, but when that becomes the norm, is, hey, listen, someone's open. I'm gonna, I don't know, go to that person and pull someone over. How it can really be sort of used, how powerful it can be.
Yeah, and it entirely depends on the reactions of the players involved. So if this guy's cutting deep, then that defender should take that. Meaning this defender can take this one, and then, well, it's just tricky, isn't it? Because there's so much going on. Because this defender then still doesn't have anyone, but he technically would be taken by this guy here. But then that's an awful long distance. So he'd have to move up here, and then the next defender moves. Like you get, when you try and like formulate defense like this, it gets incredibly complicated and a bit unrealistic.
I think you said they set up to play 1-on-1, so they won't be able to nullify these threats as easily as if you're set up in a more surround type situation in their stack.
Yeah,
where there would be someone covering the break space.
So there's a question that I pose people at the Hex Clinic on the flex day, at the end of the flex day, and it's like, if you see someone else on the field that's free, if you see an offensive player that's free, what should you do, right? And one is like, go mark them, but two is communicate to your team to go mark them, right? So then I say, if you can see any other like defender between you and that free player, if you shout push, then you push those defenders that near you away from you, and then they go towards that player that you see is free. So if this player, like, it's fair enough all this time, and he turns around and tries to find him, and then he sees him here, right? If he immediately starts pointing and shouts push, all right, then that would alert this player then to go over there immediately, right? And all it would do is make it a couple of steps earlier, so that he would actually have like 3 or 4 steps closer to him, which could be enough, for a throw like that, where he's quite close to it.
But if you look at the guy in the white cap's eyes, he sees the guy go. He just doesn't want to leave his man.
Yeah.
And then he only goes when the throw comes off.
Yeah.
So if your philosophy was take that person, and then someone else will pick up your person, he would be able to get there in time, I believe.
Yeah.
If he goes like now, he's seen the person, he's looking someone in that direction, he says, I'm going to take it, and the person I leave, someone will pick up on.
Yeah, and that's this guy saying push, like because you've got a teammate then pushing you to actually make that change and make that switch, then you can trust that teammate is going to cover your ass, right? And so that communication is the key part. Yeah, if he communicates as soon as he realizes, then the teammate knows, like, right, right. I know what he's kind of thinking. I know that there's someone with me that's recognized that something's going on here. So therefore, if I make an action to rectify that, I'm going to have backup.
So that's what I'm trying to wonder with your experience in coaching, Flex. How difficult or how easy is it for people to pick that up? That pure team-based, just trust your teammates no matter what.
It's easier than you think.
Like
I've had players that will play 1 year and be doing that when they get to club trainings, and then the club players who've been playing many years won't respond to the communication or will not be doing it as well as the players that have been playing for 1 year. So it's not dependent on experience, is what I'd say for sure. It is another skill. So, like if someone just doesn't really have very good field awareness, or spatial awareness, then they might struggle a bit more with it. But it's not related to, experience or intelligence or anything like that. It's or athleticism. It's if you train it, if everyone's on the same page with the principles, if you practice using your voice on the field, and if you train situations where you have to think as a whole team rather than as just an individual, then you get better at it, and you can get pretty good at it. And then that's when you start then taking command of the situations on the field that are chaotic for the other team. You actually start seeing some patterns with the chaos.
I agree. I think that's where I would love to be in South Africa. Club-wise, you always end up with a mixed bag of skill levels and experience levels. But the national team is where you can actually do high-level training. So I'm a bit bummed that WGC got postponed. But hopefully, if we work at it, we can get to some sort of level of coherence.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, and I think it's important to have like a bit of theory and a bit of practical, because you can do the practical, but if people don't have the theory or they have different understanding of the theory, then it's not going to properly click. So some theory along with practical, I think, is important. But probably watching a couple of these streams is enough. Like you're like, oh right, I see where it's coming from, because it's fairly logical. It's one of those things like once you understand the kind of idea of the principles, then you can work it out for yourself. You don't need someone to like tell you exactly what to do and exactly situation A you do action X, situation B you do action Y. You don't need that exactly. If you understand where the principles are coming from, then you can figure out the exact actions yourself. It's like empowering to players, gives trust to players.
Yeah, and I think that's where the gold lies, is getting people to understand it themselves, because obviously there's a lot of studious players that will study film and study things, then there's other people that don't like that. So once they have that aha moment, works, but getting them there is the tough part.
Got a little Rue intermission. A little sleep. Don't want to disturb her too much. But I know this is why all the viewers are tuned in, so gotta give the viewers what they want. There we go. Let's do a refill for now.
I think AJ has a good point in the comments there, and pretty much reinforces it. It's the way we've been taught. We've been taught, keep your eyes on your person and don't let them get away from you. And you sort of get tunnel vision. So yeah, we have to just break that. And I think if people open up to it, it works. But some people are close to it because they don't understand the philosophy.
Yeah. You're completely right. Everyone's trained in a certain way. They made these habits, and then there's that when people try and do something smart, and then they're just shut down and like, no, the poaching didn't work, or whatever, or even just calling it poaching, like not understanding the difference between a switch and a poach or a bracket and the zone.
It's also interesting because in South Africa we play a lot of zone defense, and the reason is because the team that's currently dominant, or has been for the last 5 or 6 years, the Long Donkeys, they play almost exclusively zone. They're very good at it, and it works because they win. People are like, zone defense is the way to go.
Yeah, right.
But I don't think it's not the best tactic, but it's the most effective currently because of the way they play. So yeah, as you said, the team needs to start winning with these things for it to take on. So yeah, until that happens, it might stay.
Pony won with some opportunistic poaching, I would say.
I agree, and I think that was the first time you saw, as you mentioned, and I think you said in your first analysis video of the defenses, poach Ds that they had. Yeah, it's the first time that someone's actually done something out of the ordinary and beaten a team that is so dominant from a pure isolation point of view. So hopefully it changes things.
Yeah. I think it is changing. I think the sport is evolving quickly. People are listening, and I think people are trying out new things, and I think a lot of that is thanks to Japan. Like even the most conventional players love watching Japan play. But it's like understanding how they do it is a different level, a different thing.
Yeah, it's interesting to think of what people sort of want or see in these unconventional strategies. A big thing with the Japan is that bladey hug to the break side, and I think it's a big thing that they do. But then people are like, oh yeah, but you need to be able to have bladey pinpoint hucks. I think there's easier things that they do, more conventional or more like easier to execute things that they do that people don't really look at.
Yeah, more accessible things.
Yeah, accessible. There we go.
Yeah, and so I've had coaches who will drill that one throw by Buzz, the crossfield huck, and then they'll treat it as if that's like a set play, as if that's like what they do is they look for this, they will have cutter number 3 make this move off the back or whatever, and I don't think it's as regimented as that, I just think it's like you pivot inwards and then you can see the whole field, and so that's an option, and so you play enough so that then you're pivoting inwards. You pivot inwards enough during trainings, then people get used to cutting for that.
Yeah.
It's interesting, like Korono, I think, switches and kind of runs into him, or kind of in front of him, but it's still a bit foully. And then the other player reacts and goes.
I really like this cut by this guy with the backward cap. It's nice. He really, this backward cap, the Canadian guy, he did well to shake his mark.
Yeah. It's Kevin Underhill, isn't it? I think.
Is it? I'm not good at names.
No, I wasn't until I watched this. Kevin Underhill is a brilliant player. It's quite obvious from watching this. Yeah, when I was preparing the game, he stood out. And then, does he throw the scuba? Oh yeah, money asked in the chat. What? You see that? Sorry, I just like this guy's. After catching, he's like, he's like ninja, kung fu style. Manny asks about breaking people's habits, breaking people out of the habit. Tunnel vision, marking 1-to-1. Being more open to be flexible with marking and communication. Just think of a drill, think of an exercise, which involves defenders working together as a team to either contain or surround or switch. I've got a few. I don't want to go into massive detail on them. I did a bit in the stream with Bryan, but there's a surrounding the stack drill that we do where there's no disc involved. You just have a bunch of players. Just quickly look at it. I think it's just someone fell over. That's why the turnover happened. Yeah, pretty much.
I don't know if it's the most effective drill, but if you ever have a type of drill where you've got fewer defenders than offense, then the defense has to think. Because they have to be aware that there's someone always open, so they're constantly getting their head up. And we once had to play a game, a mixed game, and we didn't have enough ladies, so we played with 6 people, and it was a final actually. And we ended up being 3-0 up because we were just playing so much more heads up. So it's a way. I don't think it might not be the most effective way. It might not translate well, but at least people are then forced to do it.
I think it is one of the best ways. Ooh, yeah, and AJ in the chat says as well. Yeah, so Japan do a lot of 7v6.
There we go.
And it's good offense and defense. Like it'll teach you to make more use of the open person on offense. And then if you've only got 6 against 7 defenders, then it teaches you to be super efficient on offense. But yeah, Japan do that a lot, and it's totally in line with like make it a game. Like you don't want people to sit down, listen to someone talk about it, or draw it out on paper for like 2 hours. You want to engage people. You want to get them learning by doing. And make it a continuous game. Make it a game modification like 67. Make it a drill that kind of like keeps going rather than just like rep by rep drill. And then people will enjoy it and learn it through repetition, whilst playing a game. And got to harness that competitive nature.
Wow.
Stencil asks about the Japan's bomber jackets, how crucial they were to their success.
I remember they loved them. They loved walking around with those jackets. They're quite nice. Not my personal preference, but they did look pretty slick.
Yeah, and it's pretty cold and wet.
Yeah.
So that's a great catch.
I'm not sure if that's the highest Lloyd could have gotten pre-injury, but that's
Yeah, flip.
anybody else could get in that grouping. And
That's a brilliant catch, isn't it? Gets up so high. What? Let's see where the huck. Okay, so here's where the cut comes from. He's like peeling off the back here. Inside out flick. Where'd the other defender come from? So this is the helping defender. Yeah. And he just goes up so high. When you get so when the disc is like only just in reach and you can just catch the rim of it, you know, you can't actually get your fingers on top of it, you just like snag the rim. It's almost that high, I think.
Yeah, that's a absolutely amazing play by the cutter. Like he adjusted so well there. After that disc came up, he managed to adjust to get his body in the right position, and just jumps at the right time. And this field's pretty muggy, difficult to get that high, on these fields.
Brilliant catch.
Yeah.
Floyd. And then he pulls. I wonder if he ever let go of the disc.
I think he earned his pull. Yeah, AJ says, hell of a throw. Yeah, pretty good throw. What do you think as a defense? Do you think you like it? You take it? I mean, there were two people there. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, you've got that connection as well. You trust your receiver. You know your receiver can go up and catch it at that highest point. So, you know, if that's knowledge that you have and you know you'll throw well enough that you know you can get it out in front of him, then take it. In terms of
True, yeah, Mark Lloyd, so yeah, it's Mark Lloyd.
Yeah, but he could be like up against Matsuno or something. So
yeah.
Oh, this is fancy. Look, they've got a window in window. Has anyone ever seen this before? Yeah, or again since then?
Yeah. It's kind of cool.
So it's quite a contentious. It's Mark Lloyd involved again. I don't think you can really see it from here. Huh. So he's saying that. Yeah, it looks like it could be. What do we think? Do you think if there's a foul on this play, put 2 in the chat, and if you think there's no foul, it's just a clean D, then put 1. So 1 for clean D, 2 for foul. Can't really see, but like at the end, look, his arm ends up behind his there, so he is reaching forward, maybe a bit more than we can see. So it's possible. Yeah. No votes in the chat yet.
I don't think he touches him before he releases the disc, but I think his hand moving up is what causes him to throw it or not throw it as well as he wanted to. Now, like, I don't think by the rules it's a foul, but he couldn't have done what he did without ending up going through him.
Okay.
So, I don't know.
Contested foul. Yeah, the chat, I think no foul. I think it's impossible to tell. Well, the disc never lies. There you go, the disc never lies. No foul, says the disc.
Yearwood quickly picks up Vasilia. Back to Yearwood. Hurst. Carroll. Vasilia.
Oh, nice. Deep from Arakawa there, stopping the up line. Oh. Interesting. So Kichikawa falls over here and is like almost still playing D from being down there, like trying to, and then he looks around, and then this guy falls over. Is it Jeff? But his defender, Korono, sees the opportunity, sees what's going to happen. Yeah, good awareness. Good awareness, Korono. Good defense.
I'm just wondering.
Go on.
It looks like he was ready to pick that up, and the guy in the white cap didn't particularly chase him. So maybe there was some sort of team D concept there.
So many Ds at like this level are just not done by 1-to-1. You know, something else happens. It's a poach. It's a switch, causes confusion.
Yeah, and I think there was a really interesting one in the pony game that Brian pointed out when, I don't know who it was, but they just threw a backhand upline to no one, and it was easily poached off. And then when you analyze the play, you're like, actually, just very smart defense that caused that and made it look like a complete blowout of an error.
Right, yeah, because like an early switch or something.
Yeah, just something. He just spotted it, and it was pretty decent handler defense. It was just inches, the game of inches. So we're getting there.
Shout out Louis or Lewis Willard in the chat. Chichester Uni. I grew up in Chichester. It's my hometown, so big up Chichester. It's an interesting like bit of contention here. Like he like pushes him a little bit, and it's hard to tell whether he's like, you know, he's already committed to actually going through his back, so then he's just trying to soften it, or whether he actually extends his arms, holds on a little bit long, and if he is extending his arms and pushing him, is he doing it so that he doesn't run into the observer? I say observer, game advisor. And then what happens after that is they seem to hold on to each other or something, right? It's almost like the game advisor holds on to him, but then maybe the Japanese players.
Is that Mitch?
Can't
is that Mitch Dengler?
Does look
or not?
It looks a bit like Mitch, but I don't think.
I don't remember. I didn't know Mitch back then.
No,
so
I don't think it is. I don't think it is.
I think they're just flashbacks of 2012 going through people's heads now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he did commit to the guy's back, but he didn't lay out through it. Maybe that's the difference. He just pushed him afterwards. How far we come. That's a great bid by Mark Lloyd as well. He's on fire, right?
So he's the guy that slipped. The guy that made the push. Was it? Oh.
The guy that made the poach? On which team?
No, the guy that pushed him was the guy that slipped initially on this turn.
Oh,
so maybe he's just a bit frustrated.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so he goes in there. And Korona's like, that's not a big threat. So Korona's like, he's got half an eye, doesn't he? He's like watching that, but he's really watching the thrower, being like, oh, he's going to go for that. Yeah, you can see how it unfolds from that angle nicely. And this is a great bid. Gets very close to it, doesn't he? Pretty close. Ravi loves that he runs through the D and then just keeps running before Canada realises what's happening. Yeah, just keep that train going.
I think what's nice about Japan is that they have those guys that will look for that. So once you get that run through D, you just go. You don't need to pick it up. You don't need to do anything. Just go, and someone will try and find you.
He's actually pulling him. This is another thing where the camera angle, you know, he shouldn't really be committed. I mean, then he has to maybe go left because his teammate's there, but then he ends up like he's pulling him. So maybe he's pushed him and then he pulls him. I don't know. I don't think it's.
I think he's frustrated that he slipped.
Yeah. Back
then in the other end zone.
Yeah, and then got scored on. So
yeah, and he did a pretty good job to recover. He's just a bit frustrated. Fair point, 13-10 down, game slipping away.
Powerful, so they do have a chance of. This just means they get they get USA in the semi basically, rather than Australia.
I'm just wondering what happened here with the weather, because I know they cancelled some games. I don't know if they cancelled any of the highest bracket games.
No.
Yeah, but I know with the Masters there was potential for teams to play a sort of crossover that got cancelled. So then they just took the rankings as they were, and it caused a bit of an issue, but not with Open.
Yeah, no, and there was no real good answer to it, really, was there? So was that game advisor Greg Connolly, or was it Ian McKenzie? Marcus, are you saying that was Ian McKenzie?
It's
I don't know what this hockey thing refers to.
I'm not gonna lie. I only know one advisor or observer, and that's Mitch Dengler. So I'm not gonna say anything more.
It's a good one to know. It's quite a good movement here from Canada. It's pretty intense one-to-one defense. That's a nice penetrating move there, just that little, and then good timing. Can we continue? And then another good timing there. Yeah, so you see this player like clearing out. This is kind of like the square draw. You know, in the square draw where you like run into the middle and then you like turn and go out to the side. It's kind of like that. He's looking in, he's going in, looking over his shoulder, so then he just times that move. That's like,
yeah, it's nice.
That's like basic. Everyone should have that ability to basically like recognize when you should be moving away from the space, and then recognize when you should be moving towards the space.
But if he got his defender turning his back to the play, and as soon as his defender turned his back to the play, he had him.
Yeah,
that's quite a good move. Nice.
Very good.
Anticipation.
Take a look here on the replay. McKnight gets the disc, and from here it's just a matter of finding that window.
Yeah, McKnight. That was. Oh, the Canadian player that slipped is Ian McKenzie, the guy that did the weird push pull at the end. Yeah, like I say, like I don't think that was there was any bad vibes really there. I think it just looked a bit weird, and I like I say, he was frustrated, but I don't think he was.
Yeah.
Taking it out on anybody or trying to like do anything weird. That's a great pull. Look at that. He's catching the disc in his own end zone and all the defense is already down there. Think of this setup.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, got like a hex going on here.
They do form in a very hex type shape at times.
Yeah, I think it's just spacing. You know, like I think they.
Yeah, I guess it's optimal spacing.
Yeah, and it's not really something that's valued by teams, so they don't even really. People that haven't looked into hex don't realize that hex is optimal spacing because, you know, I don't know, when you say optimal, people start thinking like, well, you know, which way's the force? You know, like who's got the disc in their hands? And it's like, if you take away all those variables and just think about the distances involved, then hex is like equal distances. So you can see like all the triangles here. Should I just scroll all over the screen like a child? Like a child's drawing.
Oh, pretty solid. I played a pickup game once with a bunch of hockey players, field hockey. And I think it was about 20 people per side, but they did this triangle philosophy so well, and it was so easy to play even with so many people. So yeah, if it's intuitive, people work at it.
Yeah, so I don't think Japan specifically know or play hex, but they just have nice spacing, and nice spacing will result in equilateral triangles, which will then result in hex. But you don't need the shape to be like super solid. It just needs to be. It comes from the principles of maintaining that spacing. I think a lot of teams that like try and adopt hex take a little bit too much of a stringent approach to the structure and the formation, rather than realizing that it's just a shape that you should try and gravitate towards making as a team, rather than like starting these positions kind of that's why it's like a different
Yeah.
approach, isn't it?
I think that's the thing. It's about figuring out the philosophy, and it's difficult because the shape. I think in that outbreak analysis you did, they had struggled with the shape at times and it stopped flow. So shape is important, but you need to get the philosophy right of moving that disc quickly.
Yeah, I break it into like shape movement technique. If you get all three of them pretty good, then the offense will flow.
Yeah, that's the dream.
Okay, I've got about 15 minutes left, and we've got about 5 minutes of footage left, 6 minutes of footage left.
Yeah.
Lloyd, do you want Mark Lloyd to try to take charge, or do you want to keep running the team offense?
I think you have to run a team offense, but you want Mark Lloyd touching the disc. Normally here, he'd be the primary cutter coming back in the backfield pre-injury.
How did Japan turn over?
He's looked much like the pre-injury guy this game. That disc was tipped by Arakawa.
Can't remember.
But it landed to Hawkhalter.
Apparently Arakawa got a touch on this disc. Oh, no, wonderful. This one. Oh, he does. He gets a big bit on it. Oh, it still goes to him. Look. Wow, it's mad. And then that guy is free. Just this defender just is caught a bit unawares. Like this is a bit of a you waste time a bit perhaps when the outward pivot, but then maybe gets the defender's focus over there, and that opens up the other crossfield. Yeah, nice throw. Yeah, the defender was just looking at the wrong time.
Those are the worst ones when you get a hand or finger to it and still goes to its person.
Yeah. If you only just saw that, you probably need to refresh the stream so that it catches up and goes live. Oh yeah, they threw that one that Matsuno had to bid on.
Don't like to hang the throws like that. They like them to come in a little bit faster so the defense doesn't have time to make a play. Arakawa almost comes up with the block.
Replacing guys like Hibbert, Oscar
Okay.
Parkinger,
13-12 Japan. The winner of this basically gets to play Australia in the semi rather than USA. Don't like that midpoint change of camera. So outward pivot, because this is Matsuno on his flick. So I said this before, but Matsuno inward pivots every time when the inward pivot is a flick.
Yeah.
But when the
he loves his flick.
Yeah.
His flick is his go-to.
Yeah, exactly. So even when the flick is an outward pivot, he'll probably go flick first. And like from like a very like a small thing with defenders here, right, who know the game well. 90% of throwers are right-handed, right? So when they catch in this position, normally you'd have like an extra fraction of a second as they step out to throw the backhand, an extra fraction of a second to prepare for the huck. But because he doesn't have to pivot out because he's lefty, then it just comes a little bit earlier than you expect. Because it's Matsuno, he releases it in under a second. So.
And I think if he did the exact same cut on the other side of the field to the backhand side, pivoted inwards, that cutter probably would have gone to the same place. And he would have got another lefty forehand across field this time. It just seems like they know what he's going to do, because that's a pretty conventional cut. But I think there was another one that he did when he inward pivoted, where the cutter just cut across field.
Right. Yeah.
Malcolm Bryson is a great player. There are some other defensive standouts that I would have thought would have been on the line.
Oh, nice D. How does he see this? Does the cutter just pull out of it or what? Oh, it's because there's a double cut, so it's the guy that's defending this guy. Comes in. Oh yeah, he's pulling out of this cut because the other guy's cutting. And then the other guy pulls out as well because he sees he's cutting, and then the defender's like, well, if you're both pulling out, I'm going to go in there. It's good for this player not to clear out, just stay free.
The defense defensive play from Jun Kusano. Japan could win it here.
I think Wiston saying cut to the same spot and got a little.
Yeah, I think Monty in the comments says, yeah, that this is the one of the times where the inward pivot is detrimental and slowed down the play a bit. I don't remember which throw he's talking about. Would be good to know.
No, I don't know. Unfortunately. Ooh, okay, nice thing. It's like a combination of just maybe just pushing up a little bit much here, but then the throw should really be leading him out to the space.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he just mistook the awareness of the player.
Yeah, the defender, yeah.
Canada has fresh life.
Nice inside break.
Point off. It's Underhill, Kelly, Lindquist doing the heavy lifting on offense.
Let's have a look at that downfield thing. So it's this here is where the action happens. Yeah, he just runs into him and he falls over.
No, it's good body defense. He's got his body in the position the player can't make a cut without going through him.
Yeah.
Handler weave near the end zone in a triangular formation.
Sweet throw. It's always Kevin Underhill.
Lindquist. Oh, the pivot
That's nice
to
as well.
McKnight.
So I think it's offhand backhand, right?
Was it off?
Yeah. Not the throw, not the score.
That, yeah.
Yeah, he jumps a little bit when he throws it. Just a little bit of trouble maybe. But he plays.
So he actually switches pivot foot when he does his offhand. Seems to load his.
Yeah. Yeah, he does kind of. He's kind of jumping in both feet there. Yeah, he does. He does have a tendency, it seems, to pivot onto the other foot, regardless of
that one. I think is okay, but the other one was probably worse. The one he scored off.
Yeah. I agree. The other one was.
That's a nice throw.
So look at this D.
Canada needs to break back-to-back points coming up here.
Cool. We got like about 5 minutes of the stream left.
The Canadian goal line offense is frankly reminded me a little bit of Harvard.
So Monty says it was that contested huck.
Oh, the contested. Right.
This is 75.57. I don't think we should go back because we want to finish the stream. But I'll look at it later.
No. We'll do it if he's given us the time reference. 75.57.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get time reference that I'll do it.
Okay, awesome.
Right, so backhand maybe would have been better there. He's saying. So he catches it going towards the side.
So he says the inward pivot beforehand.
What, for the throw or before?
He says this inward pivot was detrimental to the play because he thinks it should have been a backhand.
It's arguable. It's arguable.
But again, I think it goes back to preference. That player seems like someone who wants to throw forehand because that's a typical backhand situation, but he's putting it on his forehand.
Yeah. Slides out the field. I like it when players come back in and put their foot right on the line.
Yeah.
Doesn't always happen. Got Anatoly hungry for the D. The back here. Arakawa gets it. Goes up the line. Oh, there's a bid. Not a dangerous one. Kichikawa with the disc. Across to the middle. Matsuno getting it on the brick mark. Kichikawa's gone deep and Matsuno just throws a flick. Oh, Mark Lloyd gets the touch on it.
You could see as soon as he macked it that he was bummed about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I was surprised that actually that Matsuno didn't throw this a bit further. Like he's thrown to that separation. It's not too bad a decision so long as he can get the disc out there. Mark Lloyd does well, but yeah, does he close his hand? Is he trying to catch it? We'll see on the other replay probably. But yeah, as soon as he touches it, he's got to realize now. Yeah, he doesn't even need to look up. He's hitting his hands as soon as he's touched it. Like, yeah, I know how this ends. Yeah. Poor guy. He's playing so epically as well. You know, like you probably remember that, but you shouldn't remember that. You know, like
Definitely.
he's done so many good plays. And
so this is what he says. What German says. Joe Mama says Lloyd get up that separation, fixing his knee brace. Got the D anyway, but there's still opportunity for someone in the stack to play some help. I don't know if they want to keep Mark Lloyd on that matchup or not, but maybe someone could have assisted because he ran straight past the stack.
Yeah, it's actually true. Joe Marmstein spots he fixes his knee brace there. You see that he bends down and he like adjusts it. Good spot.
Is the final, and Canada suffers its first loss in the men's division here.
Yeah, poor guy. He did play a Stormer, and he was one of the hungriest at the end. Tim Sang's D there was very impressive. He watches the throw while guarding the dump, kind of baiting it. Yep.
And as soon as it happens, he puts his hands on his face. Doesn't want to see the outcome. He's just going to listen to the sideline. And I don't blame him. It's a horrible feeling as a defender when you get the block. Goes up and immediately.
Look at the crowd. The crowd goes wild in the background. Ultimate Frisbee crowds are so crazy when there's scores. Like literally the only sport where like no one would react. One person,
Yeah, exactly.
One person claps. Yeah, this guy claps once over here. Clap. So yeah, I just want to see if we can see if he tries to catch it.
Yeah, I think is that view probably the best.
Yeah, no, he's open palmed it. In that situation,
I think it's difficult in this situation because he seems like he jumps as a last resort. Like he's not preparing really to jump. It's just he needs to, and he's not like in a full extension to try and grab it. He's just there to get a hand near it. I don't think he's in any way like I'll forgive him for not trying to catch it because I don't think he could have thought that quickly.
Yeah. I mean, he's probably laying out being like, I'm just gonna be able to touch this. I'm just gonna be able to get a tiny tip on it, and then when he's actually there in the moment, then he's close enough to catch it. So yeah, probably doesn't have time to adjust his plan.
Canada will survive. They'll still be
Slap D. Yes, that's right. Yeah, he does try and bash it. If that wasn't a left-handed huck, the disc may have stopped on the D. Oh, so yeah, if the disc was spinning the other way, then that D would have stopped it for sure. When you're at that extension as well, if you could just touch the disc, if you knock it up, then it actually means that it goes down. Like anyone that's done like Mac lines will know that. Okay, we're gonna have a flag question just before we sign off. Is this flag here, right? Is this flag here? Is it Austria or is it Latvia? If you think it's Austria, give us an A. If you think it's Latvia, give us an L.
Which one? The red one?
Yeah. Red one on the right with the white stripe. Austria or Latvia? No cheating, chat. A for Austria, L for Latvia. Let's see what you think in the chat. What do you reckon, Travis?
I'm saying Latvia. I thought I knew what the Austrian flag looked like until you asked that question.
Well, I'll give you a little clue. The Austrian flag is red with a white stripe.
Thanks.
So we got 3 for Latvia, 2 for Austria. Any more votes in the chat?
as the game goes on.
Let's listen in.
Okay, if you want to see Rue won last time as well, then give a little Rue shout. Put a little cat emoji. Or I saw someone did a Rue alert with the red lights. It'd be quite cool to have like some kind of emoji that was Rue dedicated. But if you want to see Rue before we sign off, then just give a little shout in the chat. How many L's have we got? Ravi, don't give away the secret. Ravi's giving away the secret. Okay, so we got like the flag games become a lot less fun once you know the secret. Shush, Ravi, shush.
I think that's the problem with playing Ultimate or asking Ultimate people. They're too smart. Like,
Yeah.
when I used to play rugby, no one would have thought this.
Okay, majority say Latvia, and that is correct. Latvia is slightly darker red. Maybe like burgundy. Austria is slightly lighter red, and the stripe, the white stripe across the middle for Latvia is a little bit thinner. Austria is a little bit thicker white line.
Free streaming coverage of the 2016 World Ultimate Championship.
Okay. All right, Travis, thank you very much for joining me on the stream. You got any closing thoughts about the game?
Thanks, Felix. It was great.
Have you got any strategical insights to the game? It's like now that it's all over. Any rounding up thoughts?
Canada 15-13. Our coverage presented by Eric, teaching youth about cancer symptoms through Ultimate Frisbee clinics by the members of UGC Ultimate, by the World Flying Gift
Do you think,
Foundation, and by Discraft. So that'll
why do you think Japan won that? Do you think it was just down to individual skill? Do you think there was a strategic kind of difference?
Oh, sorry. You're breaking up a bit, but I think I got what you're saying. Like there was that one break they got. I think the first break, I think it was like 10-8. That one was a big one. They celebrated quite hard, and that one came off the pick call that was a turnover. So I think that was really the point where Japan always looked more comfortable. Canada looked like they're trying to keep up. And when that happened, Canada got a bit more jittery. And they made Japan's game plan started working a bit better. So I think it came down to that point, personally, just on a mental level.
Yeah, I agree. There's that last point again. Amazing. I think Japan were also kind of. They seemed like more relaxed somehow. Like.
Yeah. No, they definitely. I think people were expecting big things from them. They seem to be like quite revered in the way that they've played recently, and this was the year after the women's team beat USA in the under-24s, I think. Oh no, that was the year later. Hey, I don't remember, but they were at a stage where they were pretty much the best non-USA team that isn't the USA. Yeah, so maybe they relished that.
I thought it was really exciting. It's exciting to see the Japan play like strategically. We got a glimpse of it on offense with the positioning, the spacing. I mean, and then we got some inkling for it on defense. I think it's clearer in the final what they're trying to do. But it's good to still break down bits where it's like, oh, so they know they should be doing this, but they're just a second late reacting. Is Austria, by the way. Cool. I'm going to wrap it up. Narwhal Noah gave a little cat in a box gif. So I'll give you a final shot of Rue. Oh, look. Hello, Rue. There she is. She's woken up now. Like, what? What is it? There you go. Aww. She's a little bit confused. Why are you showing me this thing? Okay, Okay. The camera looks a bit kind of blurry and stuff. Maybe I need to like clean it. Okay, I'll give that a bit of clean that one. All right. Well, thank you for joining me, Travis. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the stream with me.
Yeah. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you, everybody in the
Great.
chat. If you have any suggestions for games that you want to see me covering, then type them in the chat now, and I'll compile them into the poll that I put on the YouTube community page. If you haven't subscribed on YouTube, subscribe. If you want to see more photos of Rue, then get on Instagram as well, Flexo37. I'm on Twitter and Facebook. So it's really great having loads of people in the chat. Hopefully I'm interacting with you and reading it as much as I can. I know I miss something sometimes. Travis, you've been absolutely amazing, I'll say again. Just reading Florian talking about all the teams suffering in the second half against Japan because the efficiencies. Right, okay, the efficiency for Japan, bar the USA match, they always win the second half hard. Right, yeah. I think that's another thing that you can get from like good principles, you know, is that then as the game goes on, the principles come stronger, you know, and that play comes stronger. Whereas Canada was scoring with like hucks at the beginning as well, so
Yeah.
maybe that's a strategy.
And I think,
Go on.
and I think they tie them. They tie those also.
Yeah, true. You have to think a lot more on offense when you're going up against weird defense. Cool. I'll add the under-24 Germany v Italy 2019 one to the list. I think that would be an interesting one actually. It'd be good to watch some Italy. I was thinking that the other day actually. We haven't watched much Italy. All right. Do you want to say goodbye to the viewers, Travis?
Thanks.
And
yeah, cheers, Alex. Thanks a lot for having me and listening to me. It's always great. So yeah, check you guys later.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll be streaming next Wednesday and next Friday. So I'll see you again soon.
Sweet.
Oh yeah. Yes, you're good. Yeah. Oh yeah.